Welcome to Storm King's Thunder, where me and a bunch of my nerdy-ass friends get together and we play Dungeons & Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons!
There it is. Always that
Had to
half-second
unmute.
delay.
I had to unmute myself.
Last time on our campaign, our party of adventurers had just entered the Dripping Caves, actually killing an ogre at the steps of the mouth of the cave. Which since Josh is here, I went through and checked out some rules, and I should not have had you roll what we had you roll. So instead, we actually did a little bit of a time switch to where instead of you doing those unarmed strike rolls, we had you do the shell shock as you came down the top of the mountainside to crash into it. And that did hit. So you crushed this
you splattered
ogre.
it.
Yeah, it was disgusting. Like,
You
blood
Bowsered
went
it like
everywhere.
Smash Bros. Style.
Bowser did, 100%. After proceeding into the cave and finishing off a few goblins and ogre that had made their home inside this den, you actually rather quickly explored the interior and found the villagers cramped into a small space with a giant hole in the middle. And as you began to try to speak to them, bats swarmed out and swirled about the room and just scratched and bit and scraped all of you until they settled down eventually after Devin released his starry form of bright bullshit.
Hey, Devin is not Goldbrand, I'll have you know.
I'm sorry?
Goldbrand's much cooler than Devin.
Well, okay, I was going to say I don't know about that, but Goldbrand's not very cool, but you somehow still don't meet that bar. Anyway, a friendly dwarf named Morak came up, very relieved to see Sidiri, initially believing that Lady Velrosa Nandar had sent him as a rescue party to come and save them, only to find out that the lady had been killed in the attack. Morak said that there are 30 villagers or so who are there, but they have no arms, no armor. They've been rather starved. Sidiri began to feed them, pass out the rations that they had, and they would not leave the cave until they had some means of protecting themselves, and until the threat had sort of been eliminated to where they could safely leave. Part of this group was made up of women, children, unarmed civilians. After finding your way to the goblin nesting grounds, you guys ran through like the Catholic Church and just murdered a bunch of kids, and found a circlet of dark vision with a glowing rune on the front of it. Goldbrand used it as an armband and found he was able to see better in the darkness. After proceeding out of there, you guys made your way through a few more tunnels and came across the boss goblin's chamber, where a small group of giant rats were just tearing apart at this mess of a person who had just been shredded to bits. The goblin, obviously enjoying the spectacle, was heard a bit of noise as three of our bulkier companions sort of crashed into each other and made a ruckus in the hallway. And Goldbrand and Tally and several other people jumped out, were able to get a little bit of an ambush strike on them. After quickly clearing out the guards and the rats, and effectively Tally has the boss murder himself, driving him a little mad with dissonant whispers. You guys found a pink-skinned tiefling, Daphne Blackquill.
You just almost said Blake.
Daphne Blake, no. I almost said Nightquill because that's what you put in your notes, but that's not right. So finger
sorry.
waggle for you, but you were drunk, so I'll let it pass. Speaking of drunk, tonight's sponsor is Yingling. After killing off the goblin boss, you guys made your way back to the central cavern, where earlier your friend Talibant had sort of stared down this long, winding tunnel and seemed to zone out for a bit, as if in a trance. He didn't respond to anything you said. You shook him, you waved your hands in front of his face, and no reaction. After he came back, he said that he believed he was sent here for a reason, and he can't quite place what it was. But after returning to the scene and uncovering a health potion in the process, thank you, Bergen, he quickly realized that his mission was to sort of repair this tunnel. And after getting some help from you guys as well as the townsfolk, you quickly filled up the tunnel and began to assess the rest of the ruins. The rest of the caves. There are 2 pathways, I believe, which you have not explored. No, Just one. Oh, excuse me. As you guys finished that, however, 4 giant centipedes emerged from down the tunnel, their legs clicking loudly on the hard stone. 4 feet long, pincers in the front, stingers on the back, and 100 legs that are probably as long, if not a little longer than your fingers. They're pretty disgusting. These 4 came sort of chittering down as we ended last week's session, and that, my friends, is where we are going to pick up tonight. Before we jump into that combat, is there anything that I missed? Anything anybody wants to highlight or recap on?
Centipedes are gross.
Centipedes
Thanks for
are
coming to my TED Talk.
All of
I'll
that
do.
is 100% true. All right. If no one has anything else, we gonna get rolling.
Goldbrand sees the centipedes and goes, "Fucks all of that."
All right. Gentlemen, roll initiative for me.
What's initiative?
Woo!
I've only ever done this for years.
Devin, are you rolling for 2 people?
No.
And if you... Okay. So
I also see a thing that said if you wanted to send the results of this roll to the turn tracker, but no
Yes.
valid token must select.
Oh, damn. That's really weird, because I noticed when we first did this, it did put that up. It would send it to the turn tracker for me, which was fan-fucking-tastic. So we got to figure that out, but we'll do that. If someone would not mind to run Bergen and Valkyr, I'll let you guys work out amongst yourselves who does that.
I'll get Valkyr.
Okay. Thank
I'll
you, sir.
get Bergen.
Okay.
I don't know if he leveled up, but I'm gonna.
I leveled him
Take
up on
one.
D&D Beyond, so you should be able to
All
check
right.
that. I gave him a loose level up. When he comes back, he can repick his spells. He can choose a feat over the ASIs I gave him. I just sort of he has a very important part to play in this next little bit, so I wanted him to be at his proper level. If you two can roll initiative for those gentlemen, we will get down to business.
Let me get in here.
And
where I can see.
either Desmond or Josh, as you two are not running a second NPC. If one of you wouldn't mind getting some battle tunes on, I would appreciate it.
Give me a second to give you
How do
his
the commands work? You
modifier.
said it's just colon?
It's semicolon twice, and then I think play. If you look up a little bit, you can see a few of them. I think it's 2 semicolons, play, and then whatever you want it to play, the link.
Copy.
Hey, I'm going to try something.
Actually,
real
it's
quick.
just
I'm gonna roll another
semicolon
initiative roll.
P space the link.
Did that second roll go to the turn tracker?
I already had a value for you, so it may have, but I didn't.
No, for Bergen.
Yeah, but it would have still rolled, I think, under you. It didn't pop up in Bergen,
I see.
didn't pop up for you, so I don't think so.
Okay.
Valkyr, Stefan, rolled a 13. If he gets a +3, we're going to be generous and we'll give him that 16.
I wanted to see if it would work through D&D Beyond, so it does. So I'll probably just do those.
Yeah, D&D Beyond do be that great. All right, you handsome bastards. Let's get down to business. As these 4 centipedes sort of crawling over each other, crawling on the sides of the tunnels, very quickly for a bug. I mean, the speed is almost alarming. You imagine how quickly bugs move on the ground. They're already very swift. And with this, you gather that they are much faster than you guys, and they are coming for you. Davos, start us off, my dude.
All right. Since we leveled up, we didn't get max hit points now.
You do not get hit points from that, no.
All right.
Sorry, my
I don't
dude.
know why I did that. Nope. I got 20 for me out of 30. Just real quick. Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to... It's hard to...
Thank you, Fred, for
It's
deafening all
pretty
of us.
loud.
That's fine. You guys can adjust his volume by right-clicking on the icon and dragging that down. I get that was hella loud. Ooh.
Alright. 5, 10...
That fucking hurt.
Wait, they're across the way?
That did.
The chasm has been sealed, so it is solid ground across the tunnel.
10 foot down?
No, it is flat ground. You guys have taken the time to fill it up at the end of
Okay,
your last
okay.
session. You were having a baby or something and were distracted. I don't know what your problem is.
So then I will go all the way there, and with this guy in front of me, I'm going to do some of this.
Some of that. And their green flame blade. Nice. All right,
That's
that's
basically, I gotta do a melee attack, and if
Mhm.
it hits,
you get extra
does
shit.
some more damage to the guy next to him. So, rapier. Does an 11 hit?
Ooh, an 11 does not hit. I am sorry, my dude. So you
Alright.
watch as Valkyr ignites his blade in this green ethereal flame and goes to try to strike the centipede, but it's the chitin that makes up its armor is very hard. Almost surprisingly so, even for an insect that has an exoskeleton. It's going to bring us to Valkyr.
Alright, that's fine.
Oh, unless you had a bonus action. I'm sorry.
I do have a bunch now.
Yeah, I get it, my dude.
But, let's
Look it up,
see.
look it
I'm good for now.
Valkyr.
I got a bunch.
Well, I don't want to hold up. I gotta read more.
Word.
Give me next turns what he means. Hey, there's Bergen! I say a Spencer.
Jurgen! How's it going, dude? You
What's
handsome
up, guys?
blobfish-looking
What's up,
motherfucker. We just did a recap on what happened last week and dove right into combat. So glad to see you, my dude.
Yes. Sorry for being late.
No, you're fine, my dude. Shit happens. And this is actually 9:30 is honestly a little closer to our normal starting time, if I'm being real. But we've gotten a little better.
Yeah, no,
A little.
yeah, oh, good. We're going to start early if we're all available.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm not stalling for fucking 15 minutes after we have enough people.
No, I feel that. All right, Valkyr, what you got, my dude? Or Brandon, what you got for Valkyr?
Oh, crap, I didn't know it was his turn. Alright, let's see, where's he at? Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Bergen, level up to level 4.
Is that him?
Oh, shit.
True
Okay.
facts, if you have not already. Yes, he is the white circle. You can zoom in if you have any issues seeing that, by the way.
Thank you.
That do help a bit.
Alright, I'm gonna probably blast.
In true
Let me
Valkyr
see if
fashion.
he's got anything.
Blast him!
I'm gonna blast him!
Earlier, I got so frustrated, like, I said something in Valkyr's accent. I don't even know where it came from or what happened. I was just like... Weird.
At work, or?
No, I
I'm
was
guessing a
working on
24
projects all day.
hits, and I'm gonna go with this guy right here.
24 definitely hits. So as Davos has his green flame blade sort of deflect off the chitin, the centipede kind of rears back to like make a bite, but is blasted in its softer underbelly and sort of falls back lifelessly at the back of the cave. These things aren't super tough, but they do got some fun shit. Speaking of, this centipede here is going to skitter forward towards Tally, and he's going to make a bite attack against you, my dude. A 17 to hit, which I'm pretty sure
Yep,
it
that
does.
sure does.
So you take 4 damage, but I also need you to make a con save.
Copy.
It's only opportunity attack upon leaving range.
Mhm.
Correct. Okay.
14.
So the did I already tell you the damage? Or
You said 4?
yes, sir. Okay.
Yeah.
So the centipede sort of skitters forward and sort of goes to bite at your ankle where it's a little less armored, and its fangs sort of pierce in, and you feel as this poison sort of pulsates out of it, and your leg feels a little tingly, but you sort of shake it off before going on to Mr. Aku. I saw also that you changed your name to Aku Namatata, and I love you for it. So.
Alright, I can't control my character.
Oh,
But-
we need to fix that.
Yeah,
You want to pop up here, my dude?
I'm gonna go over for this little bastard yonder.
Everybody's favorite turtle.
You
Boom! Look at that.
Wow.
You, huh?
Smashing bugs.
Exactly.
You think it's because he didn't pull the token out?
Maybe we're gonna try that real quick.
Yeah, it also doesn't say a coup like in the turn order like it did last time it was here. So maybe
says
because you had to
I
do
should-
something that wasn't here last time or something.
So
Yeah, I was playing you, but Joey was controlling you.
so try to drag your token out onto the battlefield now, my dude. Do you remember how to do that? You gotta click the name.
Yeah,
and-
don't- Yeah, not the actual picture of your name. Drag it. Which is the most unintuitive thing on this whole website, in my opinion.
Nothing? Senor Josh?
No, nothing.
Okay. Well, that's kind of dumb. We will figure
Oh,
that out.
there it is.
I just pulled that one there, sorry.
Oh, okay. I was
So
like,
you do hit with your quarterstaff. Go ahead and roll your damage, my dude. Loop.
oh Jesus.
Are you using one hand or two?
Two-handed.
Two hand. Okay, and that's fine. You can, as a monk, you can use both hands for that, and then still do your unarmed strikes as your bonus action. You do, however, knock that one back. You sort of strike it as it goes to get Tally. You sort of like smash into its head and swing your bow staff to knock it down the tunnel, and it sort of curls up lifelessly as its legs sort of curl up onto itself. Giant Centipede A is currently blasted in the background, so that one's good. But B is going to go for attack on Senor Davos. A 23. Which I'm going to assume hits.
That hits.
Take 4 damage, make a constitution save for me.
You said 4?
Yeah, 4 damage. That's weird, though. It's popping up as Stefan rather than Davos. Are you rolling from Davos' character sheet?
Yes. Oh, it's because I have as. Watch this.
What is your con mod?
Yeah, that's what it is. It's one. It's still 1. I rolled it from my sheet. It just at the bottom of your messages,
Since-
you can roll as or
Yeah.
speak as, and it was
Since-
still on Valkyr.
Because it actually says Davos underneath.
you
Yeah, I
look,
see that.
the
So
one
we're
in
gonna take the first
parentheses-
one. I kind of want the second one just so you can guys can see what these things do before you finish
Jeez,
stomping
what
them. But I'm not a cunt.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So the centipede skitters up again, tries to go for somewhere a little less armored, grabs you on the wrist of your left hand and pinces in. The pincers draw blood immediately. And while it's not a huge amount of pain, it is kind of terrifying to have this sort of massive bug, like literally trying to eat you alive. You do feel the same thing, a tingling in your hand and your arm, but you're able to resist it. And oh god, Aku is giant.
Jeez.
I did it.
Yay! Okay, I'll delete your other Aku. Let me resize this one. Actually, this is Aku's real size. He's a dragon turtle. I don't know if I mentioned that
There
in
you go.
session 1 or
Boom.
not. Big boy.
Dragon?
Dragon turtle. Avatar The Last Airbender. Alright.
Oh, yeah.
Bjergen.
There are dragon turtles in 5e.
Are there?
You're thinking of lion turtles.
Lion
Sorry,
turtle.
go
You're
ahead.
correct.
That's
Sorry.
better.
All right, so real quick, I'm updating
Yes, sir.
I'm leveling. I'm trying to manage the HP. I've not done it before. Is it just gonna auto do it for me, or do I gotta like actually roll some die here?
It should roll automatically, but if it rolls a 1, in other words, if your health only goes up by your con mod plus 1, or anything under that, you can modify it to where you take the average instead.
Gotcha.
If it's a 1, you
it's-
re-roll. Either way, you get to take the thing.
It says maximum hit points 27. It says rolled HP 14. HP modifiers blank. Then it says override HP 27. I
Let
don't know
me.
what any of this means.
I tell you what. Why don't you go ahead and do your action, and I'll take a look at that real quick.
Alright. Let's see. Guess I'm gonna move here.
You can move through allies, by the way, so you can get your way up to that other one if you would like to. Entirely your choice.
I think I'm gonna take a shot with my crossbow since I was working so well for
Get
me
it.
last game. At this dude here.
$16. That's pretty solid. All right, so you line up your shot. You sort of patiently wait as Tally and Aku and Davos are sort of battling the centipedes in the front lines. Time it just right. Fire through and pierce. You said this one right here in front of Davos? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. And again, while it's got him clamped on the wrist, you pierce into its underbelly, and it sort of oozes this thick green ichor. It doesn't go down, but is not pleased. It actually releases its clamp from that and sort of skitters up part of the wall. Taliband.
It's I. All right, so we've got just these two fellas. Having been bitten earlier in close melee range, Tally's gonna reach for his melee weapon for the first time. Before his hand touches the hilt of his sword, another pink-purple burst of energy appears, and a dagger of that energy is in his hand now.
The fox.
Which he's going to now.
Fucks. Sorry, what?
Which he's going to now throw at the one just directly north of me.
Okay. Bergen,
What else can you do that we don't know about?
How's that?
That do hit.
Will it work if I just roll the damage of that? Okay, yeah. Okay, it took a sneak attack thing. I'm not sneaking.
I was about to say, I don't think you have sneak attack. You do, and
Yeah, I don't know.
You're hitting the one just north of you?
Yes, correct.
Perfect.
He doesn't get sneak attack because it's within 5 feet of Davos.
I do because it is in 5 feet of Davos. That's exactly right.
Oh,
Devin's
well,
right.
Either
Roll
way,
things.
Well,
it
that
does
that.
Again, as it tries to chitter up the side of the cavern wall, a crossbow bolt sticking out of it, Tally almost seems surprised as he goes to reach for his weapon, and this energy appears and manifests in his palm and sort of solidifies with quite a bit of weight. It's almost not off-putting, but it's a little alarming. Like you didn't expect. When you had done it previously, it literally flew from you in an instant. This is the first time actually holding it. You sort of give it a toss, flip it around backwards as you're sort of testing it, and you fling it forward, stab through the centipede. And you notice that where the knife hits doesn't actually pierce the flesh. There's no wound, no tear, no break in the armor, but the centipede's head explodes. Very unusual. Gulbrand!
Wait, I'm not done.
Oh, I'm sorry,
It's
go
still
ahead.
My turn. Surprised and shocked by this reappearance of the strange pink energy blade. Tali looks down at the hand that he just threw from, and then feels a similar weight in his offhand. Turns to see that there is another, and I'll use my bonus action for the bonus dex attack. Does a 15 hit?
Ooh, let me check. That's pretty close. A 15 just barely hits. Yes, sir.
All right, and then no sneak attack, but that would be correct damage.
Again, a blast of another. This. Do you want it to be pink, purple? What are you feeling?
Somewhere in
was it
between.
pink? Yeah, kind of like a, not quite magenta, but not quite violet either. Maybe violet's pretty close. Second blade appears, and this time, having thrown the first one, he's almost ready for it, and just instantly flings it out, and it does blast this second centipede, who's sort of further away. That does sort of enrage him, and he comes up, and he's gonna try to bite you, my dude.
Yep.
22 to hit. Damn, they're rolling well.
That does.
Okay, so take 4 damage and make a Constitution save for me.
Yep, I sure passed that one.
So, you take 10 more poison damage.
Sweet.
Oh, shite.
Are you down? Are you fine?
Nope.
Okay.
I'm good.
Since this is the last one, I'll just go ahead and tell you guys. If it downs you, you are paralyzed. Wait, hang on. Yeah, only if it downs you, you're paralyzed for 1 hour, regardless if you're healed or anything. People have been buried alive, as people have thought they were dead and assumed. Nightmarish shit. Alright, Davos! Wrap this up, my dude.
You skipped Goldbrand.
Yeah, it's
you
Goldbrand next.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I double tap in the thing? Oh, no, I tried to do Goldbrand and, you're right. Sorry, Goldbrand. Please go.
He's just gonna run up right here and start swinging at that centipede.
You're too far away.
Nothing fancy. This is an adjacent square. Oh, it's not adjacent square.
You can reach it. You can enter their zone to swing and then back out. We'll say for shits.
I
and
kind of like
giggles.
to think that he like either I guess since he's tall, like high guards like over the top of Tally and like down like to
Yeah.
the centipede.
Sort of like one arm's Tally out of the way. Yous do not needs the melee. Bam.
Taliban can hear Goldbrand quietly cursing and more or less like complaining about the idea of insulting the Fae from throwing a weapon away that he was given by the Fae. Like he's kind of grumbling to himself while he's stabbing. Let me make that their attack. That their attack. Did that come to you? Okay, good.
Oh,
doesn't hit.
that meets. So yes. Sweet. Goldbrand, you come forward, sort of forcing your way in between Aku and Taliban, and swing down with your wooden greatsword, and this bug splats. You literally cleave it in two, even though your sword is not necessarily sharp. The weight of it and the mass of it caves in the chitin, and as you do, you feel that it's sturdier than the wasp armor you have on. So as you strike, you sort of shake the ichor from your blade.
That motherfucker is kinds of tough. So I'm gonna look at Tally. Can you help me get some of the skins off of them?
Absolutely.
Don't know where the disease came from.
I don't like you calling them skins, but okay. All right.
He doesn't know the word for chitin.
So
Shell?
Tally and Goldbrand make a survival check, or Goldbrand roll with advantage.
What is your survival talent?
It's big.
Yeah, you
Big
make it with
survivals.
advantage. Mine's
Okay,
not.
yeah.
Mine's better than all my other stats, but it's not big.
Wow.
Well,
that happened.
that meets. So in the course of about 10 minutes, you guys managed to pry loose a number of these hard plates from the centipedes that have not been severely damaged. And Goldbrand, you gather enough supplies to do what you want with them.
Cool. Go ahead and put those in the bag.
Yeah.
A gory, messy, chitiny bag.
Add that to our inventory, please. Or do it later when you make second notes. That's okay. Or add it to your personal inventory. That's okay too. All right. As you guys pry off these plates, the cavern once again sort of grows quiet. You can hear the chatter of the people in the side caves, who seemed. You saw Sadiri stepped out and checked on you guys, but as you handled it in 6 seconds, didn't see a need to intervene or anything, and went back to
Richard
his discussion.
comes running at the sound of combat, stops.
I'm here! Oh, never mind. What would you gentlemen like to do next? There is...
Get back to town.
You most certainly may.
Guess that was a question
I
for the
guess,
party.
yeah. I guess we should escort them back to the towns. Is it agreed? Is it agreed that we are going to go with the villagers if they have not already left?
They have not left. No, they're all still gathered to the side. They were eating, putting on their armor, getting their weapons. This has not been a long period of time since you guys have killed Tark, the goblin boss. So they are still prepping. If you guys approach Sadiri or Marak with this information, they tell you, or is that, first of all, is that what the party agrees to? I've only heard from two
Strength
people. I
in
think.
numbers.
Yeah, I can't see any reason not to. Like we've checked out this whole place, haven't we?
There is one room one tunnel you have not explored, but you could choose to leave without.
Tunnel that the goblins fear.
So there's not to the north. It's just centipedes.
Yeah, that's what
if you continue to the north, the path goes on, and Taliban, you in particular feel you almost recognize these tunnels. You have not been here before, but the way the earth is shaped, the way it is carved, it's very familiar to you. And they continue seemingly endlessly. After about 5 or 10 minutes of finding nothing, I would say you can choose to turn back or you can press on, but...
While we're doing that, I did want to... Goldberg wants to say to Bergen, instead of roleplaying it, I'll be fast about it. He wants to ask Bergen to look around because he knows that Taliban said that something he's here for was on the other side of the ravine.
Correct.
So
Shit.
Goldbrand wants to
Okay.
ask Bergen to look around.
Perception, is that?
Yeah, yes sir.
Oh, I see. Stradvon's Orovich reference.
Okay. With an 18, you don't notice anything particularly off about the tunnels. I mean, it does seem to go way deep into the mountainside and even continue downward a bit. You imagine that this tunnel likely actually goes outside of these small mountain ranges and continues further. Which direction you can't say. You can only see about 15, 20, 30 feet ahead of you. And while it winds and is fairly wide, it's about 20, 25 feet. And is not perfectly round, but is very close. You would probably gather from that 18 that this was not a natural tunnel. This was carved by something, dug by something, some creature or many, many, many people bore this out. But it doesn't seem to be from tools that you recognize. Doesn't look like it was done by picks and hammers and stuff like that.
I relay all that speculation and observation to my comrades.
So this is not something that your peoples may have done? I'm speaking to Valkyr.
Valkyr, well, mate, my people ain't really from this part. They're from really down under. We don't really dig the tunnels. We do sometimes,
from
but
really
usually
down
we just sort of move into whatever tunnels that the dwarves made. It's not really something that we like to do. Digging, man, it's not really my thing. Why is Valkyr Russell Brand?
They're really down under with the Australian accent. Was pretty
Yeah,
good.
it's
That
pretty
was
funny.
really good.
I enjoyed it. Okay.
Can the Fae build something like this? It did put Tali and
Cross.
Soma over there.
You can make, what would this be, an Arcana check? A religion check? You can make an Arcana check, or you can make
Or a nature check.
a nature check is what I was going to say. Arcana or nature, whichever you prefer.
They're the same. for
Okay.
me.
Roll away, my dude.
We'll say Arcana. With my Fae Fighter
Oh.
band name, I've done some research.
That's a solid roll. From what you know of the Fae themselves, you do not think that they would carve this particularly. They might enchant something to carve it. They might somehow use magic to carve it, but it doesn't seem that perfect. It looks like it was carved from something a little more rough. So you can't really make heads or tails of it. It doesn't seem like something a Fae themselves could do, but again, the Fae have many enchantments at their disposal, so you kind of shrug like, maybe.
Seems we're all shooting blanks here.
Well, I guess we should take these children back to their homes.
I agree.
Yeah, sounds
All
good.
right, that's 3, so that's party majority.
Yeah, that's the majority.
You guys go over to Sidiri, Daphne, and Marak, who are sort of still meeting in the front of the cavern. You see that the people, they're all very hesitant. They're kind of speaking in hushed tones. The people are still in that main cavern, being nearly dead silent. Other than they're eating, no talking whatsoever.
Can we take a short rest before we leave?
Well, that's exactly what they were going to ask.
If
If you approach, Sidiri kind of looks you guys over and it's like, I see you've explored these tunnels well. As much as I appreciate enthusiasm to return back, I think that it would be best if you were to do so at your full potential.
Gobrand sits on his ass.
As you guys take your short rest, you all die. No, I'm kidding. So
New campaign!
Tally. While you watch as the citizens of Nightstone begin to pour out of the cavern and join you in the main cavern, eating rations, getting armored, preparing for the nastiness they may encounter along the trip, you can't help but stare at the tunnel in the back of the cave. You shudder a bit as the hairs in the back of your neck rise, and you feel the familiar presence of another mind making contact with yours. The voice that resonates within you feels like the same presence, the same vastness of mind, but also different in a way. Less ominous, less aggressive, but still immense.
Taliband, you have proven yourself to be capable. but also selfless. The mote of power that replanted within you, that burst of energy. You used it well. Gurrash is filth. If I had known you were to strike him, I would have had leave a much larger moat. You have completed the task set before you. And once again, delicious morsels will wander into my caves. But this was simply a test of ability. But one that will not go without reward. As you have seen, I have amplified the remnants of the moat within you. You have a fragment of the... What is it you elves like to call it? Kiri-Kirim. Consider it a payment for completing this menial task. But what is power without knowledge?
You feel the presence grow still, but not leave you, as if inviting you to question it.
Sorry, was this exclusive? What just happened? I went to the bathroom very quickly.
I
I heard, I heard the no, I heard that dialogue. But
Okay.
was that for me or was that did the
That-
party hear that?
That was it was to you mentally, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'm going to while I felt that voice come in. I'm sorry this is retroactive, but
No, that's fine.
I'd like to use psychic whispers to we'll see how many people I get to share this with, but we're gonna run it off the D6. So 4
Up to
means
4.
4 hours of psychic connection with my party members, right?
I think it's with one person, but drop the thing in the
It's
chat.
choose two creatures you can see. Using I can copy and paste it real quick.
If you hit there should be a little speech bubble beside it, and you should be able to just drop the whole thing in chat.
Yeah, there's a way to do the roll and
in
the,
D&D Beyond.
Yeah.
there's a way to do the roll and the actual like I have to click Ice Knife and then I have to go to display in VTT. So I imagine you have to go to like the information page and then click display in VTT. That's usually what I have to do.
Information.
I don't know if this is a
if you click-
feature.
This is a feature.
Psionic
This is a
powers.
feature of my Soul Knife specification with Rogue. I already have it.
Yeah.
Copy and paste it. Just look at that.
Okay. Yeah, so up to 2
So
creatures.
two people. It's going to go to Gulbrand and Davos.
Gulbrand
Everything
shits
that
himself.
I'm
No, I'm kidding.
that I'm hearing. Yeah, everything that I'm hearing from the voice. Imagine that I'm sort of like channeling it or like speaking it as I'm hearing it to both of them. So they heard that as well.
Gulbrand is sitting on the floor, oiling his sword, stiffens. He's like,
Part of me
Is
likes to
that-
think that the voice goes,
Work Taliband.
and you go, fine work, Taliband. And
Yeah,
like the voice is like,
What?
Yes, no,
What
that
are you
is
doing?
exactly what happens.
Am I on speakerphone?
We don't.
That's really
We
rude.
don't. Do we not hear the voice, or we just hear?
We just hear
Tally's
Taliban.
voice
you hear Taliban channeling it. Oh, you hear
repeating
Taliban
it.
repeating it, I think. Let me look at it
Yeah.
one more time.
Can Taliban hear the string of Uthgardt cursing in Gulbrand's head?
It is two-way channel, yeah. The fucks is
And
this?
And we get
What's
that
this? What's this?
someone is telling him something. Not
You see
like,
that
all of a
Taliban
sudden
is sort
I
of...
am-
You probably the way I would put it is probably you hear someone speaking through Tali, but like not with his particular cadence or accent or anything. It's
Well,
sort of
I
it's
don't
him
know if
speaking
it
with a
works like
different-
that. I don't know if
don't
it
think-
channels what you're receiving. I think you can just communicate to other people. So
Okay, yeah. Well, then
you can
that
hear
with
Tally
whatever-
relaying this, and you see that Tally is in sort of that same trance he was in earlier, where he's just staring down this tunnel, like his.
I kind of look around the party to see if anybody else
Mm-hmm.
is. I see
Yeah.
Goldbrand like
You
"Oh,
just get the hackles up, yeah.
So I, kind of make eye contact. Like, what the hell do we do? Non-communicating.
Tally, you still
because
feel
me and him can't. Okay.
No, me and you
Davos
can't. But
talk.
like,
Okay.
yeah.
what the,
Tally, you still feel this presence, sort of waiting. It's almost daring you to ask anything of it. Not anything, but to ask it things.
Right.
I'm gonna do the short rest button. Is that okay?
Yeah,
I
you
was
guys can all take a short rest.
Yeah, so
yeah, I
to
rolled my
the
dice already.
to the entity, well then is Kayakurim mine?
One more time.
Is Kayakurim mine?
Yes. Your reward for completing this labor.
It lingers still.
Yeah. Tali would ask, what would best this? What could you offer me better than this? This is all. The idea of this psychic knife has blown his mind completely. It's like, what could you offer me that's greater? What greater power could I have?
Are you broadcasting your questions to us too?
Yeah, I imagine that these psychic whispers are happening like involuntarily for Tali. He does not yet know that he's broadcasting like this.
That's a good. That's. I like that. That's fun.
I know that you thirst for more power, and more knowledge. Go to Golden Fields, and both will find you.
And you feel the presence fade away.
Golden, how's that spelled?
Golden Fields. It's
Golden
one
Fields.
word. Most of you would recognize this as a city. It is not a massive city. It's not like Waterdeep or Daggerford, but it's a fairly big town. It's over a town, I would say. That is sort of a stronghold for the Emerald Enclave, which is one of the major factions in Faerun.
Until your party burns it down.
Well, you might not have to.
Y'all fucking did. Sorry, go ahead.
Before we proceed with that, something else is sort of simultaneously happening. Bergen. And before I start, are you in the bathroom? No, there we go. Okay.
Nope. I'm here.
I'm going to the bathroom.
You can. We will be taking a break here in a minute if that makes it. Okay, never mind.
No.
Bergen. As you and your companions agree to take a hard-earned rest in the mouth of the dripping caves, you slump down to sit atop a small boulder. You lay your mace down to rest against your leg and pull your shield from your arm, sort of shaking the stiffness from your shoulder and hand. While you've been a cleric for some time, you've been in more than a few fights, but the last 2 days have pushed you beyond anything that you've ever done before. As you lean forward and rest your elbows on your knees, a beam of light shining into the cavern catches the obsidian gem embedded into the Eye of Helm on your gauntlet. While physically tired, you have a warm sense of fulfillment and accomplishment. Today, thanks to your actions, 30 lives who face certain death have now been saved. You see husbands and wives embracing, neighbors comforting each other over those they lost, a halfling mother with 3 small children huddled around her into a tight hug. You clench your fist and say a small prayer to Helm. And as you finish, you hear a voice resonating within you once more. You have done well, my champion. You have proven yourself to be both a defender and an enforcer. But most importantly, you have begun to bring order where there was naught but chaos. You leave no doubts that you are worthy of being my champion. A fine protector of the weak and innocent. But be warned. Catastrophe can happen in the blink of an eye, and the burden of the Guardian is one of constant vigilance. As the voice echoes within your head, you hear a loud crack, not within your mind, but within the cavern itself. Your eyes spot it nearly instantly, and time seems to slow down in this moment. A large stalactite has broken loose from the ceiling above and has begun a 30-foot freefall towards the halfling and the children that you spotted earlier. They are not far from you, but you know there is no time for you to get to them and move them to safety before the crash. Your mind flashes with familiar images that have haunted you for months. A temple crumbling from within. Your mother, wounded and unable to flee. Your own horror-stricken face, helpless to stop any of it. As you refocus on the present, you find yourself already on your feet, sprinting toward them, shield once again in hand, not willing to let another innocent die on your watch. You quickly cover the children with your shield and draw your armored arm over the mother to pull her toward your chest, praying that is enough to save them, even if not yourself. You brace yourself as the stalactite, now just inches away, plunges toward you, and suddenly you are blinded by a flash of yellow light as a dome of radiant energy encircles you. The stalactite strikes it and crumbles into smaller rocks that fall harmlessly around you as the dome flickers out of existence. There is a moment of disbelief that passes before you feel the weeping mother tightly embrace you, and one by one, each of her children as well. It has been too long since you have felt a mother's embrace, and you feel a somber solace wash over you. You finally have it. The power to defend those who are defenseless. But there is a bitter regret in getting what you want, only too late to use it when it mattered most. You learn the Shield of Faith spell and can cast it once a day without expending a spell slot.
Word.
Na, 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 na. So, a
Many
bunch of
praises,
shit.
many praises.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, many praises to my God.
Yeah. All right. A lot of shit. Devin, you're muted. Okay. Many praises to him. A lot of shit just happened. Davos and Gulbrand, you two hear this as Tally is sort of entranced in this moment. And as that sort of comes to an end, you hear this crack as a stalagmite falls from the ceiling. And you feel like it's related to what's happening to Tally, but you see as Bergen immediately just wraps this mother and her children into his grasp, and this radiant yellow dome sort of pops around them and crumbles the stalactite helplessly. All of you are almost on high alert again. There is no villainous presence. There is no
I'm
creature.
getting the fox out of this cave. Gulbrand goes and sits outside the entrance.
Smart man. As the excitement settles down, does anybody else have anything that they want to say or they want to discuss or anything like that before we proceed?
Gulbrand
I
wants
was
to
just
talk
gonna
to
say
some
we need
people
to-
on the walk there.
Right.
Okay, like villagers and people in the town? Is that a maybe? Yes?
We'll get there when we get there. I want to talk to Daphne. I want to talk to Talbot.
Okay. Does anybody have anything to say before we leave the cave?
I don't think so.
Yeah. I mean, Goldbrand and Davos would hear Tally staring at his palms and be like, "What in the fuck?"
Accurate.
What did he say? I'm sorry, I couldn't quite understand. I heard fuck. That's
What
it
the fuck?
Fuck. Okay.
All right. If no one has anything else,
Fun fact: Gulbrand's sword is sharp, but only because he applies an oil to it that makes it so.
oh, pardon me. Excuse my ignorance. Do you have an oil of sharpness? Is that what that? Because I know that's an actual thing.
Well, the bloodweed oil he makes is That's right. hardens into a semi-crystalline kind of substance after he coats his sword with it. That's what he was doing while he was sitting down, was
Gotcha.
re-oiling the sword. He has to do that pretty frequently.
Okay.
I just haven't described it yet.
As the excitement settles down, you all begin to usher the people of Nightstone out of the cave. The guards now armed, the citizens now fed, wounds patched up and mended, and all of them hopeful for their return home. As you exit the cave, suddenly from the tree line burst a familiar guard, racing towards the cave. You recognize him as Torim, whom Sidiri had named his second, breathless as he approaches you. He spits out words quickly and with ragged breath. a few townsfolk and some guards. They were hiding in the forest. They returned to town, said they saw orcs. Dozens of ear seekers, a band of goblins, marching on Nightstone. We are preparing the defenses, but this force is too large for us. Even with you, it won't be enough. Sidiri sort of
Do not
looks alarmed and is kind of questioning whether it's best to take these people to the place that is about to be under siege, or to leave them here, or to... He needs some type of reinforcements, but he can think of no one to call upon.
Do not fear, child. That they will be ours.
Tali.
I will roll to lie about that if I have to. I don't think Golbrand knows that for sure, but
let's hear what Tali was saying.
Tali will like squint his eyes and try to manifest Kai Karim again. Just in one hand.
It appears.
Boop, boop. I'm assuming it appears. Turn back to everyone and yeah, obviously Golbrand and Davos would hear him think, it's this, or I can always call on elf name. Rond. Or as in, it's this, or I can use the scroll of message to Rond that I received.
Golbrand thinks to himself that would be a good idea. He doesn't necessarily understand that you would be able to hear that, but you do hear. You probably hear Golbrand think that's a pretty good idea.
And then I'm gonna I'll look over at Golbrand from where we're gonna be like, oh.
Yeah, if we can summon the elves, I agree, but not any sort of otherworldly being that speaks like that.
Like Spoopy. Would you like to use the scroll of sending to reach out to Rond?
I'm gonna look at Golbrand because I just heard his voice. I'm gonna try to make eye contact. I'm gonna be like waving in front of him or like tap him on the shoulder or something.
Oh, it's not hard to get his attention. He's kind of not fixated on you, but he's keeping an eye on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's hearing your thoughts. He's like, the fuck is up with this one?
Yeah.
He hears voices. We hear his voices.
Yeah, the sus is pretty clear.
I'm like, big man. It's time to level with you. I've been hearing voices in my head, and yours was just one of them. Did you just hear me think?
Is your mouth not moving? You thinking this at Golbrand?
No, I'm talking to him.
Talking to
him plainly. Yeah.
Oh, he says, I heard you was having conversations with yourselves. And I'll look around for Davos if he's within sight and like kind of give him a meaningful like. The kind of look you give someone when you're about to have an intervention with someone else.
Yeah, I heard it too, Tally.
Us at every party with Jared.
Yeah, so wide-eyed and a bit shaken by the idea that not only am I now hearing people who are present to me's voices, but that my own voice has been heard as well. I'll say, well, there's no need to have a gathering about this. You understand that I can summon the elves we met earlier. If those are the reinforcements we may need. I also flick out Kai Karim, the dagger from my hand. It just appears, and I'm like, also, this now.
Go around like I don't know if he would have anything like this. Like the picture he like crosses himself or does like something the equivalent of like crossing himself. Like,
Uthgard have something similar, I'm sure.
Like warding off Fae and bad spirits, like
Uthgard's balls, back the fuck up.
Oh shit, I had some.
Sounds like that special sword might have cost you more than you originally thought.
Bergen, I imagine, is looking very confused.
They're like, hey bros, why y'all huddling? What's going on? You know?
Does Golbrand... Would Golbrand know if, like, Taliban needs to call the elves right now? Like, he had a vision of what's about to happen. I'm guessing. This is Devin guessing.
As you are hearing Torum and Sidiri talk, they're talking numbers, and you gather that there are a very large force, like at least 40 to 60 of these orcs and goblins heading your way, and that is massive. The force that you dealt with earlier, while you didn't have the full force of the guard with you, you still don't technically have the full force of the guard. What you have with you and what you have back at the town is not the full original guard. Many guards were killed either in the attacks or in the days that followed as they were fed to the rats and to the the ogres. So you're not quite sure if you know that you're outnumbered at this point, even with you guys and all the people you just saved.
But he wouldn't necessarily have seen elven archers and bows and stuff.
You saw
his vision.
Your vision isn't quite that clear. You saw many figures, but it wasn't specifics.
But I definitely didn't see as many as we currently have.
Correct. You saw at least 100 warriors. If they have 60 and you have 30, you're close, but you're not quite there.
Okay.
And many of yours, I should also say, many of the 30 that you saved are not warriors. They are children, they are women, they are, people who, civilian men, they are not fighters, per se. But there are a number of guards with them.
How far away is the nearest town besides Nightstone?
Quite a ways, a few days' journey. The nearest town that you passed through was Succumber, and I think that is like 3 or 4 days away. Waterdeep is likewise 3 or 4 days away. Daggerford might be a little closer, but it's still at least 2 days.
Waterdeep is only 3 or 4 days away.
Do we also have like a generalized knowledge of where from this enemy force might approach?
Sidiri will say that Torum, the guard who is approached, will say that the people fled from the northern woods. So you gather that they're going to be coming from that direction, which is the direction that you saw Gurrash's main force both enter from and flee into during your last encounter with him.
Do you have a timeline as well, or is it just like...
This was yesterday that you saw them flee and come back. You don't know how far away they are. You saw the villagers saw them making their way through the woods and immediately fled back to the town. They knew that you gather from the conversation that the villagers who were in the woods knew that goblins were in the city and were purposefully trying to hide out. But seeing this massive force here, they decided to risk it with the few goblins they knew were in Nightstone rather than be caught by this army.
Gotcha.
Lest they become meat's back on the menu, boys.
Hurry back to Nightstone and close the gates is the best option.
Okay. So
I think Golbrand will stand up and he'll look at Taliband, and he will say, Fates is our masters, and it will see us through this day. Call your allies, and he'll turn to Sidiri. We need to get these people's backs. Put weapons in the hand of every able-bodied person. Nightstone shall remain yours, or I shall die to see it happen. And he's just gonna start walking. He's ready to go.
Sidiri says,
"Bless some rocks."
He almost like stalls for a second. Well, you heard him. Come on, and immediately starts spurring people into action. You guys hustle. Well, first, are you going to call the elves? Because you do have to do this with the scroll.
Yes, so I will use the scroll of, I'm assuming message is the spell?
It's a scroll of sending. So you sort of kneel in front of the cavern where you've encountered this guard, and you unroll it. And it is...
So it's not a tweet. I don't have a character limit, right?
Well, hang on. As you open it, you realize you have no idea what you're doing. You look at it, it is an unusual glyph. There are several runes among it. None of it is legible to you.
Familiar. Oh, okay.
I imagine you guys are all sort of around the area. So, Bergen and Davos, both of you realize that you can make out many of these symbols. Basically, meta talk, how spell scrolls work, you have to be able to be in that... Your class has to be able to cast that spell.
Technically, it's not a cleric spell.
It's not a what?
Cleric spell.
It is for his subclass. Yeah. You don't have to know the spell, but you have to be able to cast... You have to be in the class that can learn it. So, Bergen and Davos, you can choose to work together to cast this. It is sort of unique in the respect that it connects directly to directly to Rond. So you don't have to worry about targeting or anything like that. I've got some other details for you. I'll give you real quick. I don't think you have a character limit, but let me check. The receiver has to have an
Maybe-
intelligence score of 1.
Maybe message just the character.
Ooh. I don't think I
Water.
have an intelligence score of 1.
No. So
Bring it
if,
from the sticks, man.
if both of you want to roll either a wisdom or a charisma check, whichever is higher for you.
I'd imagine.
Definitely
Wait,
the Chariz.
What?
Oof.
Oh, 11's not great.
No.
It's not
Ooh.
great.
this is to do what?
So
To
hang on.
Cast the
So,
spell.
so I will say that the
Yeah.
3 of you are sitting in a circle doing this. Tally,
Scratching our heads.
if you want to roll a wisdom or a charisma check as well.
Yeah, I will. I'd like to root this through.
Oh, yeah,
I'd like to the idea that yeah, I'll look over at Davos and be like, read it to me in our heads, and I won't say that out loud.
That's not a okay.
Oh god, Goldbrand can hear that too, so he's like,
Oh no! All right, so here's what we're gonna do.
Since I'm a bard and performance is the charisma check. could
That's
I
not how spells
somehow,
work, my
like,
dude.
sing a song?
We're gonna do something. We're gonna take a brief break, and we'll reconvene in 10 minutes, so 10:33, and then we'll unfold how this happens.
if nothing works, Goldbrand's gonna tell Sidiri to send a fucking rider. Like shit. Oh. Ugh.
Black letter. Seal in 10.
I'm gonna be getting in the shower.
Okay.
Are you Bolus, not Radicus?
Yes. Will you turn that back on? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I love you.
I love you.
Can I have a kiss for you?
Yeah.
Love you.
I love you. Beauty. Wolf you.
Welcome back, my dude. Que pasa?
Oh, not much,
Nothing.
not much.
Ooh. Hello. I didn't realize multiple people were back. I think that was Spencer
Back, sorry.
and Taliban. There we go. I think we're waiting on Devon and Joshua.
Would you move out to freaking the Midwest?
Oh
What?
yeah, don't you know? It's nice out there this time of year, I hear.
Minnesota.
Minnesota, Wisconsin. Oh boy. Don't even get me started on the Dakotas. Oh man. Oh me, oh my, oh my.
Yeah, I tell you the other day I was sitting over there on the Davenport, watching the tube, okay? And
Fuck you, little Kenny. Or letter Kenny.
well, that's oh wow, I guess my accent's that bad.
What? They're Canadian, I think.
Yeah.
They are Canadian.
Okay.
Well, that sounded tortured, and I love it. Out of curiosity, you guys can't see anything on Roll20, right? Like, you don't see a turn tracker like we did?
do
I have the
see
turn
a
tracker.
What does it say at
I
the
see
top?
a Nightstone guard.
Nightstone
Oh.
guard.
So I'm on a different map than you guys. You
Yes,
guys are
you
still
are.
seeing that, which is kind of
We're in the cave still. Everybody's in the cave.
No, you're fine. We'll get there.
Dripping wet.
We'll burn that bridge when we get to it. My
Speaking
favorite
of
Malafor.
burning,
Malafor.
No, that's
it's
an
like-
actual
it's like
thing.
a metaphor, but like bad.
Well, yes, it's when you typically it's when you combine two metaphors, but wrong. So like, we'll burn that bridge when we come to it, or you know, just combining two things that
Sharpest tool in the box.
well, toolbox kind of makes sense.
Make like a tree. and
He's
get
not the
fuck
brightest
outta here.
bulb in the toolbox. You know, that's
Yeah.
kind of like yeah,
Right. Like a bull in a candy store.
yeah. There you go. That's a good one. I like that. Malifaux, man, they're malatastic. I know what is holding green up, but we're gonna start without him if he takes another 2 minutes. How you guys feeling about this here war? You think you're gonna come out on top? You think I'm gonna
Like Alec
total party
Baldwin.
kill you?
I'm hoping
Oh,
there's more elves hiding.
Jesus.
Alive and embroiled in a litigious spider web.
so much just happened. The Alec Baldwin comment though. Ooh,
It took a minute for that to register.
oh god.
I like to think that Alec Baldwin just impersonates Valkyr.
I'd like to think.
Yeah.
Well, never mind.
Nah.
I can,
It's funny though, is they did have a picture of Danny DeVito. with
so I
Alec
started
Baldwin
blasting.
taped
Shut
over it.
up!
Jesus.
Oh my god.
Oh
So
my
awful.
god. We're all going to hell.
Oh, there was never any doubt.
Yeah, and this is recorded for posterity, so you know, there's that.
I mean, with the voices that
Jesus.
you're hearing, yeah, there's
You don't know what he's hearing. He could be hearing pretty angel voices. You don't know. You just hear
That is
Tally
true.
like echoing it.
I guess really, if you take that same speech and like say it not creepy, you could just as easily say that would be a Helm speech. I guess really.
It's all in the accent, my dude. I almost thought about sending that one to you privately like we did the last one. But there were some people who sort of misconstrued what was said, which I guess isn't a bad thing per se. And B, I thought it would be especially since you can loudspeaker it like you did. I think
Yeah,
it's
that's
good
cool.
for them to hear.
Yeah.
Your
Quick
spooky shit.
thinking.
I didn't know how I was struggling with how Tali was gonna like spill his beans about. Yeah, I got voices on my hands, so that was a pretty easy segue.
That sounds like life though, you know? When you're hearing voices in your head, it's kind of hard to be like, "Hey, yo, I might need help." Lol.
Yeah, you're like, oh damn, the voices are leaking again.
They're like plugs your ears. There we go. All right,
This dude's
Devin
got gonorrhea
is
of the
late.
brain.
Who? Devin is a bastard. All of you should remind him when he returns. So, with that, we are going to pick up on a brand new page that you gentlemen have never been to. Welcome to the War Room. Dun-dun-dun-dun.
Whoa.
I recommend backing out to 50% view. Works well on mine. Ah, and there he goes. There's that bastard. Welcome to the War Room, you selfish cunt. There we go. Oh, he had to get popcorn. Devin's fucking vice. That and chewing on disgusting objects. Welcome to the War Room, my dudes. This is the battles in this game are theater of the mind. So there are not physical troops to command. But there are a few things that you guys need to know. Basically, well, there's a few things I should narrate before this, but I'll give you a little dip into this before we get to that. Basically, when you fight in these types of conflicts, you will roll an attack roll. It has to beat their defense score. If it does, you do a power roll. If the power roll beats their toughness, you deal a casualty, which takes their size down by 1. So, like, you guys are both 1d6, they are both 1d4, so if you deal 1 casualty to one of them, it goes down to 1d6. When they are diminished, which means they're at half health or less, they have to make morale checks, as do you guys, to stay in the conflict. Each of these units has sort of a special ability, aside from the Goblin Levies. All levies are always diminished, so their morale can be kind of fucked. Even if they're 5 out of 6, they could fail a morale save and then have to flee the battle. Or no, excuse me, if they fail a morale check, you take an extra damage. You do have a couple of special abilities, like Courageous and Eternal. And we'll get into this in just a second. But before that, the 3 of you gathered around the spell scroll, hope beyond hope that this message has gone through, but you hear no response. You know no answer. None of you even know if you should hear a response. This is magic that is beyond any of your depths. So you gather up the scroll itself, the writing on it sort of evaporates into smoke. And you gather up the now blank scroll, put it in the pack, and you, the townsfolk, and the guards begin to race back to Nightstone. As they arrive, they see the remaining Nightstone guard falling into formation. There's a few more than when you left. There are the 2 guards, Alaric and Kalen, as well as a few others that seem to have come from the woods. Sideri begins shouting orders, trying to organize the men who have little in the way of military training. He tells the newly freed guards to fall into the rear of the formation and asks Marak to lead the civilians back into the walls and raise the drawbridge.
What is the newly freed doing?
Some of the newly freed are with you. Some of them are with you in the field of battle. Some of them are still back up in the walls. There's enough people to where you can't get like an exact idea of who is there and who is not, but you do see a few familiar faces.
And we're outside the walls, us?
You're outside the walls now. Sideri comes to you and says, listen, we are still terribly outnumbered. May we ask that you fight with us on the field of battle? We cannot hope to hold them at bay from the walls. They can easily take down our drawbridge and invade the city. We must meet them here, in the field of battle. Will you join us?
Shit. Of course.
Hell yeah, brother.
My name's Goldbrand First Claw, and I've never run away from a fucking fight.
Goldbrand briefly forgets he was Starkeeper, but that's okay.
He don't know what that means. He don't want no one to know that.
Oh, that's fair. Okay. I assume that all of you do. If you don't, speak now or forever hold your peace.
Yep.
As you guys do this, it bumps all their stats up by 1. For each of you that joins, their attack goes up 1. Another one of you joins, the power goes up by 1. Another one of you joins, the morale goes up by 1. You basically bolster their forces a little bit. And suddenly you hear a horn. It is not the Orcish horn that you heard earlier, but it is somewhat familiar, and you see, as coming from the forest, Kolkar galloping down with the elves in tow, joining you guys on the battlefront. Kolkar comes up, when I heard that we were outnumbered, I thought that we could use some reinforcements. And your message didn't work, so I had to improvise something.
10 out of 10 use of a character.
So you see, as Rond comes up to you guys, he has roughly about 30 elves with him. It's the same force that you saw earlier, plus a few more. Upon hearing that Nightstone was in danger and that the orcs were rallying their forces, it seems like the majority of their forces have showed up. Ron does approach you, Tally, specifically, and says, We could use your keen eye with us. Would you join us in this fight?
Your position.
One more time?
What's your position in this fight? Where will you be stationing your troops?
We will take the high ground, behind the infantry. We will... Fuck you, Brandon. We will take the high ground behind the infantry. If they can stave off the forces long enough to allow us a few clean shots, we can dwindle their numbers, providing all of us a better chance. Should it come to it, many of us do have melee weapons, but in this fight, we will fight by bow. Your friend, Kulkar, has already informed us of the situation, and has promised his bow to our aid.
Yeah, they're gonna bring balance to this force.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Stop.
High ground.
Tali,
I just got that.
no, like the information we gathered earlier about where from the enemy force is coming.
Mhm.
I'd say I'll join you here. Flips Karikarim up out of his hand.
I see you have learned your trick.
Quite well. Perhaps not well. I think this is a good place to test. But I'd request or ask that Inyos hide. Shall we take to the trees north of Nightstone?
While I would normally favor fighting from such terrain, they will be coming from the north. If they meet us before the infantry, they will likely either find us or strike us down as they pass through. There is a good number of us. It will be difficult to hide so many bodies in the treetops. If even one is seen, our position is compromised. But I do like the way you think.
Is that his favored terrain as well?
Maybe. He is a wood elf, so you know.
So we don't have any levies?
You do not have any levies.
Okay. Goldbrand wants to stand on wherever the front line is.
Okay. And positioning here isn't really important. You guys are a part of this force. Some of you are near the front, some of you are near the middle, some of you are toward the back. Really, as Sideri is barking orders, the entire battalion forms a long, narrow line, just 2 soldiers thick, but about 15 to 20 soldiers wide. And then the archers quickly take up file and rank behind, probably about a good 20 or 30 feet behind, but still protected by the forces. I should also mention that there are certain tiers of troops for those of you who didn't get to see the thing. If a side has levies, you can't attack anything else with melee units. Your melee units have to attack the levies before they can attack the infantry. Ranged units, that's fair game. You can fire on anything, as well can aerial units and stuff like that. So the elves can fire on anything. Tally, I am actually going to ask you to spearhead the elves for me.
Yep.
And I will say, actually, I'm going to mix this up a little bit because I was hoping to have Valkyr here. So, Brandon, if you will run Valkyr's character sheet specifically, there will be a brief time where we come to you, but don't worry so much about it right now. All of you will play a part in this. Some of you are just playing other characters for me for a second. Joshua, are you with us, my dude? I called you Joshua. That's weird.
Yeah, don't do that. But yeah, I'm here.
All right. If you
Very
will,
biblical. I was like,
if you will roll for the ear seekers for me, I'll tell you what to roll. You just roll when we come to that. Excuse me, Bergen. We're gonna have you roll for the Nightstone Guard. Goldbrand, if you will roll for the Goblin Levies, and I think that gives everybody an assignment. So we're all gonna have a little part in this. So we're gonna see how this goes. All right. Another battle horn sounds. From over the hilltop, you see Gurrash, his hulking size, standing out even amongst the horde of orcs that surround him, as well as a small force of shabbily armored goblin levies. You see them line up into a broad force, and the orcs let loose a battle cry as they bang their weapons against their shields and armor. The goblins charge forward, not out of excitement for battle, but out of fear that the orcs behind them can hurt them more than anything that stands before them. They race forward as Sidiri has the infantry fall into their lines, and with a clash, the battle for Nightstone begins. Nightstone Guard, roll an attack check for me. So just roll a 20, and you get to add 4 to it.
Alrighty.
Gurrash wants to scream and holler
Okay.
and moon people and do general like psychological things.
The Nightstone Guard, with their opening initiative, the goblins sort of rushing at them, these unseasoned troops do not seem to find their rhythm, and rather than making any physical progress, seem to stall, almost. Or Horde, Josh, go ahead and roll a d20 for me, my dude.
It didn't do it. Still didn't do it. It was a 3.
Yeah,
I don't know why it's not.
Because you did like a dice instead of like
If-
one of the character sheet things.
Well,
I
if
have the
you
same problem.
if you click up on the, do you have DM clicked? Because if you do that, well, no, it should show me at least. Try to roll one more d20 from the dice menu on the left, or you can type in the command. I forget what it is. r/.
Oh, use the dice menu and roll 20. Yeah.
Okay. So,
Okay. Unfortunately, an 8 does not hit. So as the ear seekers come forward, they sort of clash into the back of the goblins, trying to fight their way forward, but do not seem to be making any ground. Goblin levies, I believe that is Devon.
Bop. I need to roll one of these.
A 15. You get a -1 to attack, but that does meet the defense of the Nightstone Guard, which is the only unit you guys can attack right now. Go ahead and roll a power check.
What die is that again? I'm sorry.
It's another d20.
It is a d20?
Yeah,
Sorry.
pretty much all you're rolling is d20 unless I say otherwise. An 11 does not hit anything, so you are good. The Rangers, Tally, go ahead and roll a d20 for me.
I thought per these rules the cards didn't get initiative. Is that something you're doing different?
Normally it would be while a fight is going on and you guys would give orders. We're mixing it up a little bit.
Heard.
So they get a +3. So that's a 13, which does exceed the defense of the goblins. So go ahead and roll a power check, which you also get a +3 to.
Do we roll for power? Just another 20?
Yeah, just d20s.
Matt Colbo don't make things terribly complicated.
Yeah.
Okay,
16.
so 18.
So
18.
I thought it was
Right?
oh no, you're right. Yes. So as the orcs and the goblins and the guards sort of engage in sort of this vicious clash, the rangers, taking aim at the further troops, let loose a volley of arrows that does strike down a force of the goblins. As the goblins are diminished, they do have to make a morale check. So Devin, roll another d20 for me. You have to make a DC.
I believe the historical term is scrum, but I could be wrong. For like when they all clash together.
Oh, yeah. I think the historical term is eat my asshole and roll that die. A nat 20. Wow.
He did.
Okay.
He did roll
Those are
it.
some stout goblins. They are not.
They're very afraid of the orcs.
Yeah, they are more afraid of the orcs than anything else. Nightstone Guard, go ahead and roll another d20 for me as you make your attack check.
Pardon me.
Bloop, 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 bloop. Actually with your bonus, that's a 20. 20 is plenty, so go ahead and roll one more. Now you're rolling a power check, so another d20. This time it'll be +3. You have to beat a 9, which you do. The Nightstone Guard, seeing a few of the goblins fall in the combat, sort of rally themselves, and again, come with a mighty clash. The goblins need to make another morale check. Devin, another d20 for me, please.
I should have been ready for that. Shame on me.
It's okay. You're a piece of shit. There we go. All right. So with a 2 morale, they are actually diminished once more. So now the goblin levies are at 1. Everyone else is still at full forces. As it comes to Valkyr, in this fray of battle, Valkyr, who has been hot-blooded throughout this approaching conflict, prepares himself and spots Gurrash, this lumbering force on the battlefield. Most orcs stand 6, maybe even close to 7 feet tall, but he is even grander, maybe 7.5, maybe perhaps even close to 8 feet, wielding his great axe and cleaving his way through the troops. Valkyr, you can take any action you would like against Gurrash specifically. So you can blast, you can slash. He's got a couple of spells.
I was trying to go with the Morning Star that I guess has a thirst for Gurrash, which I don't know what that means.
Roll with advantage for this particular conflict. So roll one more time for that. We'll use your first damage die if that succeeds. 25. All right. As Valkyr comes in, he swings in with Rua at the unsuspecting Gurrash, and although his aim seems to miss, Rua redirects him and strikes true, dealing a good. We'll actually go with that second one since it's higher. A good 10 damage to this lumbering beast.
Lucky mob, says Golbrand from like 300.
Josh, roll an attack check for me, a d20. And 11 does not meet the Nightstone guard, so we are clear there. Gurrash, sort of turning to face you, is absolutely furious. How this weak elf dare challenge him just makes his blood boil. And he's gonna roll a 15. Does that meet or exceed Valkyr?
Pretty sure exceed. He's got a 14.
I'm gonna give you some fair warning. He hurt. I'm gonna actually roll this rather than take the average because the average is pretty high.
Am I only doing attacks, or am I playing it like I would any other battle? You
would play it like you would any other battle. You can use spells. There's no real movement involved, but you do take 10 damage.
Okay.
And we took a short rest, so he should be at full health.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, a coup. You are in this fight, fighting orcs, and you see Gurrash and Valkyr locked in sort of this fray, and you can join in for a single blow. So you can choose to roll anything you want to attack Gurrash specifically.
I have to roll to hit still, yeah?
Si se puede. Yes, sir. Ooh, quarterstaff. With a 7, you do not hit. You come in, but Gurrash, and used to this type of conflict, this sort of clash of battle, takes his great axe and deflects your blow. It is the Goblin Levy's turn. So, Devin, roll for me. Or unless you have a bonus action that you can use, my dude, which you as a monk can make unarmed strikes.
So I'll try that.
You could also use a key point to make an extra one.
Jesus. Blow all the key points, that's one thing. Yeah, fuck it, let's go for it.
There we go.
Hey,
that just meets. So roll some damage for that, my dude. All right. So
every time someone does this, I can't help but think, pop, pop.
Pop, pop. No, yeah. So you come in with your quarterstaff, and he sort of locks onto it with his great axe and sort of grins at you with his yellowed, jagged teeth. And you sort of take the opportunity to get in a cheap uppercut. Ardeep Rangers. That's Taliban. Roll for me, my dude. Oh, and I should also say, you are the only one right now who can choose who you hit. You can choose to hit the Ear Seekers or the Goblins. Devin, you are mute if you said something there. Okay.
I was making like a bow sound, like...
Pew. Devon. I'm sorry, Tali.
Yep.
You get to fire as the Ardeep Rangers, and you can choose who you hit. The Goblins or the Orcs.
It's a 20 plus the power mod? Is that how this works?
Yes, sir. Or plus the attack mod first.
Did you skip the Goblin Levies?
No, didn't you guys roll?
No.
Oh, I am sorry. We'll do that right after this. And who are you hitting? Or I'm sorry, that was Devin. You have to hit the Nightstone Guard. You just meet. Roll one more, Devin. That does not meet. The goblins, again, pushed forward by the orcs, clashing into the guard. The guards lose a little bit of ground, but they do not take any casualties. So Tally, go ahead and roll an attack check for me, and choose your target.
Sure. 20 on the goblins.
Okay. For future reference, say your target before you roll. But
Sorry.
But no, that's
Sorry,
good.
sorry.
So the Ardeep Rangers fire off another volley and clear the goblins from the battlefield. It is now just the Ear Seekers and your troops. That is going to bring us to the Nightstone Guard. Bergen, what you got?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Wow,
Big
this card
efforts.
sucked.
That's a second kind of crummy roll from you, my dude. I'm sorry. Oh no, you got the 16 in
okay.
last time.
Yeah.
All right. But all right. So Valkyr, back to you, my dude. You and Gurrash interlocked in your fray. A nat 20. We're going to ignore that
Man.
crit because nothing pisses me off more than like a really shitty crit roll. So I'm just going to go ahead and roll another d8 for you. It was a 2. We're going to ignore that. It was a 7. Okay.
You could also just use Mercer's crit rules, which are brutal.
We'll go over that later. All right. So 12, 16. He is not throwing any punches. All of you can sort of see, while you're all in your own respective parts of the battlefield, you sort of see this glow of like purplish energy as Valkyr's sword, or his mace actually, is wreathed in this purple energy and comes smashing down with a blow against Gurrash. Gurrash, sort of distracted by a coup coming up and hitting him, is knocked back a bit. His chest bleeding, the cord of ears around his neck sort of tattered and hanging a little loose. You see his grin from a coup earlier turn to a vicious snarl, leveling his gaze at Valkyr.
You got that Wrathful Smite?
Yes, sir. You did roll the...
Right.
Yeah, you rolled the d6 for it.
Yeah.
Right. Or cord, Josh, roll for me, my dude. 15 plus 3. That does most certainly hit. Roll one more. That one does not, thankfully. That was rough. The orcs, sort of seeing Gurrash take this blow, sort of rally, pushing the guard further back. The guards are now approaching the moat on the northern side of the town, where they are very much losing ground and at a terrain disadvantage. Gurrash.
Stand and fight, you fucking cowards.
Gurrash, pissed off and absolutely furious. He's gonna go and make another strike. Ooh, when he hits, he rolled a 25. He is gonna do... That's a d12? Fuck me. Another 8 damage to Mr. Valkyr. He is also going to use his battle cry. So the Orc Horde, the Ear Seekers, you guys are going to get advantage on your next turn for both of your attacks. All right, a coup to Gulbrand. As you were in this conflict, you sort of see Gurrash and Valkyr sort of locked in this combat. The pink light catching your eye, as well as this blood-curdling cry that Gurrash just let loose. You get to make an attack against Gurrash.
Against Gurrash.
Yes, sir.
I kind of like to picture, because he was on the front lines, like, I'd like to picture him while the goblins were there, like we were talking about earlier, walking with his sword, just lopping off heads, punting goblins, having a great time, belly laughing. This is the most combat he's had in many years. He's, like, literally belly laughing while he's walking through the war zone.
Terrifying.
He screams, "Witness!" And I'll use my last use of... Sorry, my brain broke. I'll use my last use of Guiding Bolt that doesn't cast a spell slot. Let me cast it, please. Did that do damage instead of a hit? It did do damage instead of a hit, didn't it?
And Davos, just so you know, I did see that he did pass his save. He's got some
I
surprise.
didn't mean to. It was, but yeah.
Well, I figured
was
that was
really
from the
weird.
smite earlier. Which is right. I just saw the damage part. I didn't see the save.
I was wondering what would happen if I clicked packed slot and it basically cast it. I didn't mean to.
No, you're fine.
There's the hit. I don't know why I rolled the damage instead of the hit. That's kind of weird.
That just hits. We're going to use that damage. So now the next person to hit him has advantage. Is that right?
Goldbrand is guiding bolt.
Yeah, dude, it's part of
Yes.
his druid thing. He can cast guidance too. I just haven't been able to do it yet. I have to touch people for
I
guidance.
too have guiding bolt now.
I too have not touched anyone in ages. Goblin levies.
That's the comet I keep talking about him throwing. He throws a comet at fucking
okay,
Gurrash.
That's your archer form?
Not this one,
Oh,
no.
The archer form is like a arrow or a spear, like of light. This looks like an actual comet that he like kamehamehas out of his hand. Like I picture he like
That was turns to Goldbrand and says, I might like one of those for myself.
So Goldbrand, as you spot Gurrash sort of let loose this blood-curdling cry, you think, I know what'll shut him up, and you hurl this sort of comet of energy. Do you have a color in mind?
like I said before, it looks mostly like starlight, so mostly white, but there are it looks like
Tinges
it's
of color.
burning and flickering of
Yeah.
cosmic colors: green, purple, orange, blue, red.
Yeah. See, this sort of literally a comet just sort of shoots through the battlefield and smacks Gurrash in the side of the head, and he turns absolutely furious. He has never been mocked in this way. The goblin levies are dead. So, Tally with the Rangers, you get a move, my dude.
Alright.
Did our music stop or did it just get quiet?
It's just a quiet segment of it. Yeah, I put like
Gotcha.
a whole 3-hour thing on. It's probably just in a lull. Anybody can change it. Please do. Is it a attack, so plus
Oh,
3?
plus
Yeah, first you make an attack roll, which is +3, and then if that hits, you make a power roll.
Oh, great.
Ooh,
Look at that.
That's
The
rough.
entire everyone falls on their sword.
The Arctic Rangers go to make a shot and actually end up striking a few of the Nightstone Guard. There are cries of pain and anger, and even a few, I would imagine, even a few racist remarks against the damn knife is.
Goldbrand gives a really sus look to Davos, like,
Side-eyeing with his new bestie. All right, that's going to bring us to the Nightstone Guard. Bergen, roll an attack check for me. Or excuse me, I should say Spencer, because this is not Bergen I'm asking. My bad, dude.
Yeah, you're good.
You know what? Roll another. You've had a series of... We got to get those crummy rolls out. That's a little better. That's a 14. That does hit. So go ahead and roll one more for me. Okay.
There you go.
Wow.
That's more like it.
That's the Spencer we know and love. The guards, sort of spurned by this, their attention is divided. Some of them are trying to gain back the ground they have lost, and some of them are distracted by this volley from behind and are not entirely focused. Valkyr, your move, my dude.
All right.
Also, if you could tell me what you're at hit point wise, just for reasons.
I'm at 15 out of 33.
Okay. I figured you were pretty close to bloodied.
real quick, how do I make this song play on this fucking bot?
There might be a skip
semicolon,
command.
semicolon, space P.
It added
And
it to
then-
the queue instead of like actually.
So
playing
do
it.
semicolon, semicolon, stop, and then semicolon, semicolon, P link.
Yeah.
Oh, Rua does strike true. Anything you're adding on to that, or just the straight roll? There it be.
There it is.
Second level higher. Oh, 1? That's a little... That falls a little flat. Roll a d6 just by yourself. Okay, that's a little better, I guess. So Valkyr, sort of taking advantage. Oh, what? You have advantage on that strike because of Guiding Bolt, right, Devin? So roll one more attack check
Yeah.
to see if we get another nat 20. Okay, it's fine. So Valkyr winds up his Morning Star, and his eyes sort of glow that same purplish color as these purple marks seem to arise on Gurrash's skin, and he comes down with a heavy blow, dealing a total of 7 damage. Maths. There we go. That's how to math. Ear Seekers, you, Josh, you get to attack with advantage. So roll 2 20s for me. Neither one are great. 11. Oh God, no. Wow. Okay, I don't know whether to be happy that they're rolling like crap or a little sad. Gurrash is absolutely furious. He's gonna go again with his attack. Which is not great. So he does have aggressive. So I think I'm gonna pop that so he can make a second swing. A 19. Take 12 damage, my dude. Valkyr. Puts you in pretty rough shape. After
Dallas be like, hey, lay on hands, 15 health points.
it's funny you mentioned that. Bergen, you are in this conflict, and you sort of see as Gurrash sort of lets loose a cry as he swings with his great axe and slashes through Valkyr, who looks in very rough shape. He is critical. It is your move. You can choose to attack, you can choose to cast a spell, whatever you would like to do as Bergen.
Oh, well then, I assume I better come to the rescue here. I don't know how far I am or like how all that works.
You're close enough. Yeah. The way I see this happening is as the battle is sort of pushing you guys around in different areas, Valkyr and Gurrash are sort of at the center of this conflict, and you guys are, for a brief period of time, pushed into the range, and then you have enough time to fire off a blast before other orcs come and sort of occupy your attention.
Did you say he was down, or he's just taking?
He's not down. He's critical. He's at 3 hit points.
Gotcha.
He
I'm
bugged.
going to cast. Let's see, which one is it? I think it's Prayer Healing.
Oh my god.
Sorry that took so long.
That's hilarious then. Yeah, I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do Prayer of Healing.
Sweet.
I guess. Well. Yeah, I think that's the one that does the most.
I know that one's also a bonus action, so you could cast Prayer of Healing and then do something else, as long as it's not another spell.
Oh shit. Okay. Yeah, in that case, I will cast that as my bonus action.
Watching Joey jam to this is kind of funny.
You can also choose to upcast it. I don't know if you're familiar with that. I don't know if that was a thing in 3.5.
Upcast.
So you can use a higher spell slots to have it be stronger.
Oh,
when you click it,
I
it should ask
remember
you.
reading about that.
Yeah. So when you click it, it should say like, what level do you want to cast this at? And if you have level 2 or 3 spells, you can put 2 or 3, use that spell slot, and then it will do more heals.
Got you. All right. Yeah. Fuck it. I will.
So it's like very good video game fight music.
It's Final Fantasy.
I thought so. I wanted to say that.
I think
really-
I'm actually just do one. But
I really regret not using the Castlevania soundtracks for Curse of Strahd.
I was gonna say you should use the Alexander theme.
17
what
points
did you
of
say?
healing.
Alexander?
The raid from 14.
I actually haven't made it that far, or I haven't done that raid.
So you guys watch as Bergen sort of clutches his fist and says a prayer and throws out his hand, and this sort of yellow light sort of just drifts over, circles around Valkyr, and his wounds just start to seal. The blood actually coming back into his body, and he stands up over half hit points. No longer is he critical. He's not even battered or bloodied. He is back in fighting shape. He is back in this game. You do still have an action, so if you want, you can make an attack, or you can cast a cantrip. That's an action.
yeah, or cantrip. That's an action. I will cast. Fucking Sacred Flame.
Devin
Oh,
judging
wait,
me.
that's not cantrip. Yeah,
I
it is
know,
a cantrip.
but it's all digital. There's no piano in this, Devin. It is all beeps and boops of different pitches. Basically.
Actually, I will do Shield of Faith on
That
if
one,
I can.
That one is actually a reaction. So we can say
Okay.
for your action that you could hold it and choose to use it when Gurrash makes his next hit, if you would like.
Yeah, I will do that.
Okay.
So are you going to rule
technically-
that does not take a reaction?
Well,
He's holding his action?
It's different because we're in We're not in a normal combat. I'm not
I'm just
allowed.
asking for me to know, like.
No,
in
well,
future.
here's what I'm thinking, because I wouldn't allow, like, if Gurrash had a spell that was if Goldbrand had a spell that was a reaction, since you're not in this part of the conflict, I wouldn't allow you to use it. It gets a little trickier here.
Nafi.
I will say until the next player character turn, you are still in range. So you can still use your action and use Shield of Faith. But Shield of Faith is a spell, but it's a reaction spell, so it's not during his turn. So he should be able to use a spell and his reaction spell, but you can't use a spell as your action. So you can use your action for either a cantrip or an attack, and then your reaction will still come through when that occurs.
Huh. All right. Well, shit. I guess I'll just take in a swing at fucking Gurrash then.
Pop him. He deserves it. He's a bastard. Cutting off
shit.
ears and shit. I don't know if y'all could see that on his token. This little string of elf ears around his neck.
Yeah, I
Oh,
can see it.
I only see a unarmed attack for some reason.
You should have a mace. You may not have it equipped in D&D
Yeah.
Beyond.
I remember I did.
Roll a d20 and add your strength. Maybe even fix that while we're...
Let's see. Strength is 2.
Oh, a nat 20. So
Oh, shit.
roll 2d8. Plus the 2, so that's 11 damage. So Bergen comes in like a powerhouse. Not only is he prepared to throw a shield down, he just healed his bro, and he pops Gurrash, who again, even though he's used to this type of conflict, this sort of madness of battle, is sort of being thrown off of his groove. He is not in control like he normally is. He is being bombarded from multiple angles. And every time he turns to face one of the approaching foes, that foe is sort of absorbed into the battlefield and a new blow comes out from the side. Ardeep Rangers, Tally, go ahead and roll an attack roll for me. Oh, that does not hit, my dude. So that's going to bring us to Nightstone Guard. So, Spencer, if you will roll a d20 for me, my man. Making an attack check against the Orc's defense.
I love old school video game music.
No, yeah, for real. Which Final Fantasy is this from? Like 4 or 3 or
7.
7? Oh, yeah. Classic.
Classy.
You did, so that's a +4. That does hit, so roll one more for me. There we go. Now
And
we're
the
doing
recordings?
some stuff. So,
The recordings here are music.
yeah, here's whatever audio comes through my computer. The guards, having sort of found the rhythm, seeing Gurrash start to wane, who, by the way, is now bloodied, beyond bloodied even a little bit. The guards sort of find their rhythm, and on the very cliffs of this river, the moat that naturally protects their city, that threatens them, they sort of grind themselves into their shield, pushing the orcs back and slashing away, dealing a bit of damage. The orcs take a casualty, and Valkyr, it is back to you, my dude. Now restored in health and invigorated. What do you do, my man?
Same thing. Let Rua do her thing.
Yeah. 24. She is ready for this. She is
Rua
pissed.
is mad.
Accurate. So you watch again as Valkyr sort of like, as he's picked up like with this, it's almost like a DBZ moment when the battle like turns from against the protagonist to for the protagonist. And as Bergen comes up with his mace and sort of staggers Gurrash back, Valkyr sprints forward and with his mace meets him in the opposite direction. So Gurrash is smacked by Bergen and then immediately smacked by Valkyr in the other way. That is a solid hit. Do you have anything you can do with your bonus action, my dude, or is that it?
Yep.
A Wrathful
wait.
Smite.
Did
So he takes the 6 regardless.
Yeah.
But he also has to make a save. What is it? DC 14? his wisdom modifier. Oh, he rolled a 19, so I'm sorry, my dude. Again, Gurrash, a little more tough-willed than most of the orcs that Valkyr or any of you have come into contact with. Sort of just spits. He is critical. Blood and a tooth come out in that. And he sort of grips down on his great axe and lets loose a bellow as the orc horde gets to make another swing.
What's the matter, mate? You feeling it?
That was pretty good.
True to character, yeah.
Gonna go on the quotes.
Quote for Valkyr, even though Valkyr
Fill
is
my
not
beer.
here. You bitch. Josh, if you will roll an attack check for us, my man. Oh, 11 does not hit. Wow, they have been. Wow, that is not the. You know what? Roll one more. They see their boss taking a couple of rough blows. Give it another swing. 13, still not enough. Wow. Okay. The Ear Seeker's not bringing their A game. That's okay though. However, Gurrash has very much been hitting hard. He is gonna go. What does he get to add to this? +6. Does a 14 hit?
Meets.
That hits. So he gets a D12. Oh, actually, Shield of Faith, Spencer. Is that a +2, +5? What is that? 2?
2.
I thought so. Yeah.
2.
Because it's
I
the
was gonna ask
reaction.
if Davos could cast it, but I was like, nah.
If it were your rotation, I would allow it, but we'll get there. So you come through, and as Gurrash brings down his axe on Valkyr, who stumbles back a bit, trying to brace himself for this blow, but knowing that neither of his weapons is stronger than this orc, is suddenly protected by a radiant dome of energy that deflects the blade, and it falls to the side. As Tally, you arrive to the conflict, and see Gurrash and Valkyr dueling it out. Did you hear that, my man?
Case?
There we
Yeah, I heard you. Sorry.
You're fine.
Yeah. I'm going to make a long range, a thrown weapon attack. That's that.
That's very popular right now, that beer is.
13 does not hit the beast. You may make a bonus action.
Funny enough, mine's also a sour.
It's funny, I have multiple sours tonight.
21.
21 does hit. Roll some damage.
Copy.
Blackberry, blackcurrant, and rose.
Ignore the sneak attack.
You do
I'm
have
also
sneak
going-
attack. He is within 5
because
feet of Valkyr.
He's in range. Correct.
So
Also add the favorite foe hit dice. I'll make Gurrash my favorite foe.
Gotcha. So a blast from the battlefield as this psychic knife sort of slings through and catches Gurrash in the shoulder. He sort of turns over and snarls an orc. I don't think any of you can speak Orcish, can you? I think Valkyr can. Something along the lines of, your mother was a whore and your father was limp!
Jesus.
Our Deep Rangers, Tally. Roll for their power attack check. Excuse me. 22! That do hit! Roll one more. Whew.
Yeah,
Oh, womp womp womp. They try to fire off a volley, and while it does catch the orcs, most of their armor or their shields deflects or takes the blunt of the blow. Nightstone guards, Senor Spencer, roll an attack check for me. Oh, womp womp. The guards, having once found their vigor, have seemed to have lost it as we return to Valkyr.
Was it Gurrash or the Drow Queen that killed his old lady?
This isn't stuff you've been told yet, but it wasn't.
So I could be in character. If it was Gurrash, I'd be like, this is from insert dead old lady's name here.
So you know that, especially since you traveled with him a bit, I'll fill you in a bit more. You know that his love, Ilinith, was a drow that lived with him in the Underdark, and they fled the City of Spiders, one of the largest cities in the Underdark, and they do not take kindly to that. When you are in their domain, you are perceived almost as their property. I mean, they're free. Well, drow are.
I can't believe he was allowed to marry.
Well, he wasn't. That's the whole thing. They fled. They had fled the Underdark, and once they did, they lived in fear for a number of months on the surface. When Valkyr and her were camping one night, they were attacked by orcs. And thankfully, a group of other elves had been tracking these orcs and sort of fended them off. And they gathered for a night of drink and revelry and enjoyed their evening. Once they went separate ways, however, Valkyr and his wife were camping alone. And when she went to get water down by the river, he heard a scream. He leaves his tent, runs to the water, and sees Gurrash, this hulking orc, the leader of the band of orcs, while he was not with those band of orcs that they had slaughtered. And he has this woman at her throat, and he tells Valkyr that his nemesis, this elvish woman who is sort of the high priestess of Lolth in the City of Spiders, sort of the highest ranking official there is in that city, informed this orc, one of what would be her natural enemies, of Valkyr's presence, so to extract revenge on him. And Gurrash slit his love's throat and pushed her into the river. It is at this point that Valkyr tries to save his love, and while holding her limp body, that he was met by Elistrai, the goddess of dance, of the moon, of swordsmanship. And she told him, she bestowed him with some power and set him on this quest to eventually find Gurrash and murder him.
Yeah. So, this is for Ilinith, and he's going to Rua.
Bam!
And
Bam!
just
12 damage too!
Morningstar to the and just like completely take off this orc's head. Just like
Goldbrand approves.
It's so you watch as this last blow from Tally sort of knocking into Gurrash. Gurrash turns, bellows out that insult, turns back to Valkyr just in time to see him with Rua in one hand and the Moonblade in another, sort of crosses over and slices and smashes with both weapons simultaneously, just obliterating his head. One separates his head from the body, the other sends it flying across the battlefield. And
Goldbrand points at Valkyr and screams, "Witness him!"
as the head clambers across the battlefield rolling, you hear a hush. The orcs, even though they still have a good number of their force, are terrified by this sight. Gurrash was the strongest, the largest, the most ferocious among them, and seeing their leader's head fall, they begin to try to flee. The guards and the rangers seizing this opportunity, and the party. Tally, Spencer, roll attack checks for me real quick.
I
Is
imagine
it from our character sheets or the
for the armies.
Okay.
I imagine all the armies just start, seeing this head roll
and leave it.
calmly.
That's a crit, my friend.
And both of those hit because that's a +4 for Spencer's. Both of you roll one more. Tally, you get to roll with advantage because you critted on your attack check.
I like that point, Brandon. Like, the whole army just screaming when he takes his head off. That would be a very chilling moment. Like, for me.
Like everyone just stops and sees this head roll and it stops. And you kind of... And it just like... Braveheart.
14. Oh my... this is perfect. They had 2 people left. 2 members of their army left. Or 2 size left, quote unquote. And as they begin to flee and scatter, the rangers and the guard sort of find their grit and take down the last of the forces and eviscerate them, leaving nothing but corpses and pulp.
Grits are good.
Goldbrand's favorite, grits. Bloody grits.
Grits, bloody grits.
Bloody Grits, new
Is that
band
the-
name.
Bloody grits sounds like a great group name.
As Valkyr stands before the limp corpse of Gurrash, he is bloodied and breathless, and he sees the revolting cord of ears around his neck. He goes to cut it loose, but as he does, he spots a familiar sight that makes his stomach knot. On one of those dried ears, he sees a beautiful silver and amethyst earring, which he recognizes as his betrothal gift to Ilineth.
Fuck.
The late evening sun burns at his back as he reaches out hesitantly towards it, his hand shaking with a mixture of fury and despair. He scoops the ear up into his palm, and it begins to decay into a familiar silver dust. The shimmering powder swirls around him, before curling up his arm and joining his mace, which begins to glow as the dust settles into its shaded alabaster form. He feels Rua's presence, happy to be reunited but still somber, and for the first time in months, he hears her voice. None of you are Valkyr, but Valkyr isn't here, so I'll say this so he can hear it on the recording later. The Dark Maiden has blessed us, allowing us to be together even beyond the veil. And just as she was always with us, even in the maze of nightmares that is the Underdark, I have been with you every step of the way, waiting here, within your grasp. And I always will be, whenever you wish to speak with me. You watch as this dust, the last remnants of it, swirl onto his arm, and you watch him flinch as the sting penetrates his flesh. And while one arm bears the glyph for moon, the right now bears the glyph for star, Rua. We will have countless days together, my love. Endless hours to fight side by side and hand in hand, but on this day, I need you to help me grow stronger. This beast, Gurrash, has caused us both an unimaginable suffering. I cannot stand to allow any of his kin to cause us further pain. Please, bathe me in his blood, as he forced you to bathe in mine that night, and I will grow stronger against his ilk. Orcs across all of Faerun will be but fodder to our combined might. All of you watches. Valkyr just stares at his mace for a moment. He bites his lip, uncertain of what to do, but he takes his moonblade, stabs into Gurrash's chest, and lowers his mace into it, sort of turning it slowly, and you watch as the stone seems to absorb the thick, oozing liquid, soaking it in, before in a flash of light, the mace and the moonblade disappear. You watch as Valkyr panics for a moment, thinking he's done something wrong, but as he clenches each of his fists, both of his glyphs react. His right arm becomes wreathed in shadow, and his left becomes wreathed in moonlight. And with a swing of both of his arms, both weapons appear in his grasp once more. Rua now deals an extra 1d6 damage to orcs, because she's a racist bitch.
What is it with you two, with your magic Wolverine weapons?
Well, they didn't come out of his hands, you know. They just...
Might as well. I got psychic bladed fucking orc
That's fair,
labor
yeah.
over here.
Well, for the record, Valkyr gets to do one of those just because it's his hexblade weapon. The other one is just for flavorsies.
Either way, it's cool.
It is pretty cool.
It's just kind of creepy.
The thematic of it,
hearing voices.
pretty tight.
Another dude. Who
Yeah,
can pretty
talking
much
to
do
his
the
dead
same
wife.
thing.
Like, yeah, one dude talking to his dead wife.
You guys
The
will
other
all
one
have
gets
some fun
super
moments.
high. Oh my god. Terrible group.
As the
Definitely
sun,
Band of Misfits.
as the sun starts to sink low in the sky, you hear the drawbridge creak open, and you see Marak guiding two thick draft horses pulling the covered wagon stolen from the Iron Ring. And you see Hiral, Akara, and Kava peering over his shoulders. Following close behind, you see a tall, muscular man in a frayed tunic, leading a third horse that's pulling a simple farming wagon behind him. As they cross the bridge and head to the core of the battlefield, Kava and Akara leap off the sides of the wagons and begin tending to the guards and the rangers with the worst wounds. Hiral, not as limber in his old age, climbs down slowly and begins prayers of healing as well. Those soldiers who were still on their feet begin helping their wounded compatriots to the carts. As your allies are being cleared from the battlefield, you begin to get a clearer image of the casualties. While there are many injured, most wounds do not seem life-threatening. As you make your way through the fallen, the vast majority of them are orcs and goblins. You watch as Rond, Morak, and Sidiri, weighed down by the bittersweet toll that is the price of victory, meet near the healer's cart and share their grief in numbers. As the last of the wounded are loaded up and the horses begin to haul them back to Nightstone, Morak approaches you and tells you that the survivors are meeting in the town square at dusk, about an hour away. You should be there. And the newly freed are welcome as well. They have done more than their share to help our city. The rangers of Ardeep will be returning to their homes, but Rond has agreed to attend, if for nothing else than to report back the developments. Would you guys like to do anything on the battlefield itself before we proceed onward?
No, I was just gonna say, per Lathander's customs, we like to have our funerals at dusk, so I would like to help gather the actual deceased, and wherever we go at dusk, have a little funeral rite until dawn is the custom.
You will notice that as you do this, that as you go to gather some of the fallen, Hiral has sort of taken the second cart and is using it for this same purpose. He is gathering the dead to be laid to rest. I have something I'm going to read here. As the evening light begins to fade, torches are lit, and a small makeshift stage has been made from a few emptied crates that the townsfolk took. You see that the citizens and the newly freed have not been idle in your absence. Some of the debris has been cleared from the structures that took the least damage to make room for the injured. The fields and storage crates have been rummaged through to gather what food remains unspoiled. And toward the back of the temple, rows of dark shrouds. After adding the corpses from the battle, there number about 24 that wait behind the inn, as half a dozen men dig new graves beyond the temple. Soldiers beyond the wall begin to pile up the goblin and orc corpses in a mound downwind of the city, and soon a blazing bonfire sends a black cloud southward, blocking out the first early stars of the evening. As dusk settles in, a crowd, numbering nearly 100 with the newly freed and yourselves, grows quiet as 7 figures climb onto the crates and turn to face the remaining townsfolk. They are Morak, the innkeeper, Sidiri, the guard captain, Daphne, the lady-in-waiting, Hiral, the acolyte of Lathander, 285, the war leader of the newly freed, the tall, muscular man that you saw earlier with the cart, and a limping gnome man with a tall walking stick. Morak, looking at least a little nervous, clears his throat as he calls out, "Citizens of Nightstone, newcomers, allies, lend me your ears. 4 days ago, the skies of Nightstone grew dark, and though those clouds have since left our firmament, that darkness has remained. What we have endured these 4 days is unfathomable. We have been forced to flee from our homes, expelled from our walls to hide among the forest, or worse, held prisoner by monstrosities. And upon returning to our hamlet, we find not respite, but instead are besieged by orcs. While our home has been through much, we are not without hope." Hiral lifts his head. "We have lost many good people. Larlo Summerhawk, Samil Southwell, Malantha and Lathan Zelbrin. Captain, Brace Ostra, Lady Valrosa Nandar, and nearly 24 other citizens of our city. Though our losses are great, they could have, and by all logics, should have been greater. The fact that we are here at all is nothing short of a miracle. And though we may argue over which god's benevolence came to our aid, the instruments that changed fate stand here before us. You feel as the entirety of the crowd, the newly freed, the guards, Rons, the citizens, shift their attention towards you. Daphne speaks up above the rest. Please, step forward so that we may introduce our citizens to their saviors. And as you approach, she calls out, Davos, Valkyr.
Or try to avoid going up on the stage if he can.
You're not really going up to the stage, it's just approaching it. You're not going up top. There's not really a stage so much as it's just a bunch of boxes they're standing on.
He still wants to try to be discreet.
Gotcha. Davos, Valkyr, Gulbrand, Kolka, Bergin, Tali. She sort of eyes the last of you. And Aku. Most of you know these men as your liberators, but their deeds go far beyond that. As I myself just discovered moments ago. These 7 have reversed the flow of fate in just 2 days within our walls. 285 perks up. They risked their lives to save a dozen strangers from a life of servitude. They gave us a new chance at life, our own lives as people and not property. They also gave me this really cool spear and made me a war leader and taught me to aim for the neck. Sadiri sort of
Goldberg like puts his hand on his head, like
right.
You know, like you try to get a child to be quiet. He's like,
Sadiri sort of eyes him and you nervously, kind of second guessing this. Right. But then they purged the city of the goblins that raided our ruined remains. They subdued surreptitious agents of subterfuge who sought our undoing. They repelled ravenous orcs from our weakened walls and cleared the caves of the glowing threat that abused our misfortune, liberating many of us from certain death. And then they raced to return, to draw steel alongside us, to defend a home that was never theirs. Lady Valrosa.
I was getting bored by milk.
He sort of shakes his head and Godric, please. And the gentleman you now know as Godric, the larger, tall, muscular man who seems to be some type of farmer. Lady Valrosa was beloved by all of us. She was benevolent and kind. She heeded our pleas, and under her rule we thrived for 10 prosperous years. But as we all know, her husband, Lord Dreslin, preceded her in death, and they have no heir to assume the mantle of the lordship. The smaller gnome stands up. Has a surprisingly deep voice for one that's so tiny. While the lords of Waterdeep and Daggerford would no doubt leap at the chance to appoint one of their spoiled dukes or rotten baronesses from within their pockets to assume the role of lord or lady, the town council has convened and rightfully agreed that is dragon shit. We don't need some greedy, lazy bastards waltzing in here, raising our taxes, instating Prima Nocta or some other crazy rules. Not when we have these perfectly good bastards right here. Marak. Thank you, Tux. He turns to you with a shrug. Apologies. What my friend here means is that many towns in our situation fall prey to tyrants who do not care for their people. You have all shown a deep willingness to sacrifice for us. We understand that you are adventurers and that your travels may take you far from here, but if you, collectively, can agree to plant your roots here and become a council of lords for us, we will serve you happily to repay the life debt we all owe to you. Sidiri, these are dangerous times, and we feel that this can be a mutually beneficial relationship. You can lead us and help us grow, and we could in turn provide you with walls and forces to face whatever foes may stand in your way. The choice is yours to make, but I'm afraid you must make it now. Please, accept our offer and step forward.
What would be the duties of your lords, your new lords? What would we have to do?
Whatever the city would ask. You would be responsible for running it, or you could assign delegates to do such. There are systems in place, but you would be the executives of this town.
I do want to preface real quick that Goldbrand does not think at all like Devin, and he will he'll make a hand motion that's kind of dismissive, and he'll say these kinds of commitments are not for me or my ilk. I promise nothing, and he's actually going to try to walk away from the situation.
285 will sort of cry out. Oh, do you want to say something?
No, I was just like Goldbrand.
Is that a Goldbrand?
285 cries out. I know that you have plans that won't leave you here, and I know that you don't really have a home yourself, but this could be a start. This place, you could help many more people. Like you helped my people. Like you helped the guards and the citizens here. If you take this on, I get that it'll be some responsibility, but you've always seemed like a good leader to me.
Child, I already have a home to worry about, and Goldbrand will actually try to walk out of the city
over
into
there.
The tower is raised, or the drawbridge is raised. So
is raised. I was about to say Goldbrand was going to try to leave to go to the woods. Actually, when he gets to the drawbridge, he'll look for guards and he'll say, "Lower the drawbridges."
They're a little nervous. You recognize Torum and Alaric. Our orders are to leave them up until dawn, sir. I'm sorry. I would if I could, but it would be my ass.
You probably shouldn't risk an attack.
Just hear them out.
To think of all the battle he can have with us, and when was the last time he had such a merriment in battle? I saw him out there gleefully lopping heads off and shit.
Goldbrand looks vaguely ashamed and
No, but
continues to kind of try to walk away to find a place to be alone.
I get 50% off that.
You're gonna have a hard time with that right now, my dude.
So he'll wander around until he figures out it's useless, and he'll return to the group and solve it.
He could hide behind in the farm.
Does anyone else have any protests or anything they would like to say?
You want those? I'll buy it for you one day.
I think we'll need help with the Zentarim
One day.
on their way, probably. We could perhaps send a message to the Order of the Aster and Waterdeep to maybe send some Lathander Knights to help look after the temple, at least.
You're already thinking like a leader. I love it. Please, each of you, step forward.
I guess somebody put Goldbrand.
Goldbrand does this sulkily, I guess, once he figures out he can't get away.
Perfect. All right, so each of these individuals has an item with them that they use. Sidiri removes his longsword and gently taps each of Valkyr's shoulders with it as he pronounces, Lord Valkyr. Marak takes his hammer, rough wood and stone, taps Kolkar on both shoulders. Lord Kolkar. Godric, the farmer, has a sickle that he taps on one shoulder, and actually the point of it never leaves your back. It sort of curves over your head to tap your other shoulder. Lord Bergen. 285 sort of leans in to Goldbrand. You won't regret this. And he taps both your shoulders with the spear you made him. Lord Goldbrand! Daphne.
Goldbrand
Daphne takes a long feathered quill, like a couple of feet, and gently taps Aku on both shoulders, and even sort of flicks it like playfully toward your face. Lord Aku. Tux,
Bless you.
the gnome, sort of takes his staff. That's very. He's only like 2 or 3 feet tall, and this staff is like 5 or 6 feet. It's almost comically big for his size. And he comes down. And he taps Tally on one shoulder. Lord, I'm sorry, I have forgotten your name.
Taliban.
Lord Taliban. And Hiral, standing before you, Davos, says a slight prayer. And as he does, he sort of curls his hand in a somatic motion, and his fingers sort of wreathed in light. And he taps you lightly on both shoulders. And you feel blessed, because you have just had blessed cast upon you. Lord Davos. Daphne sort of turns to face the rest of the crowd and speaks up. We present to you the new lords of Nightstone. Thunderous applause.
I just picture Goldbrand like the sourest look on his face.
Perfect. I would have it no other way. Thunderous applause and cheers erupt from the crowd. Whistles and whoops deafen you as 100 hands reach forward to pat you on the shoulder, the back, anywhere they can reach to touch their heroes.
Do not touch me, Charles.
It does not deter them. You see 285 crowd surfing atop a mob as you guys are pulled towards the inn, where the only 2 surviving tables have been laden with a makeshift feast. Odiola, the gnome woman of the newly freed, rushes towards you with 6 plates stacked impossibly close to her short, narrow arms as she hands them to you eagerly as Marak lifts a large keg onto the bar top and begins to pull each of you a hearty pour into dented mugs. There are no other tables and few chairs, so the townsfolk pour into the inn and sit on the rough wooden floor beside you, knees to chest to make as much room as possible. Some cascade down the stairs, and you can see from the hole in the ceiling that there have actually begun to fill the upper rooms as well. You even spot the white-winged Tresium, that winged cat you met earlier, nibbling on scraps behind the splintered bar.
Fuck here.
He didn't follow you guys to the caves.
Oh,
He stayed in the city.
Okay.
The feast itself is surprisingly hearty. Cuts of chicken and pork loin, tender fillets of seasoned white fish, roasted potatoes and squash, small cuts of cold bread, a watery but warm turnip and pumpkin stew. The ale is cold and foams nicely as you swig it from your cups.
What is this swill?
Sorry.
This calls for some music. Bod, play us a song. Oh wait, that's me.
Goldbrand looks really confused for a second. He's like,
there are a couple of other players that sort of join you. Many instruments have been destroyed, but a few of them percussively play on the... Oh. I think Babe is this.
No, that's just the party going on in the end. Everyone's celebrating.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
At least she warned you. At least she warned you.
This party went from 1 to 100 real quick.
Yeah.
Yep.
So while we're eating, Goldbrand, still sulking. Hey, I imagine he's within earshot of pretty much everybody. I kind of imagine we're all in a circle or whatever, close to a circle. But kind of look at Davos or Tally or whoever's close enough, and he'll say, "I has never wanted to be a lord. Being first claw was hellacious enough. This is bindings.
Sorry about that.
We have been chained."
Oh, it can't be that bad. Couple of hand waves here or there. Pieces of gold.
Have you ever led large amounts of people, Davos?
No, I can't say I have.
It is not fairs. You will never make a decision that is fairs to everybody's. Someone always feels like they has been cheated or lied to.
Yeah, like that gnome.
That was pretty funny. Sorry. Also, didn't make that up. That was some disenchanted.
Talia will chime in and say, "Well, my friend, not all chains are broken alone. If we're bound, it's better that we're bound together."
Yeah, you'll have help.
Goldburn will contemplate this for a moment, and then he'll look around the whole group. He'll say, I would like to spend some times alone in the woods. I would not discourage an escort or twos, but I will be in no conditions to converse.
I'll nod in agreement. I'd be one of the two.
I guess I'll go with Golran.
Says, I am not proud of things I have done or things I will do, but this is necessary, I think, if we are going to be here for some times.
Yeah, I'll clap you on the shoulder and say, well, friend, my life is a walk in the woods. Let's be about it.
My life's a walk in the woods is a great one.
Life's a walk in the woods. So
Goldburn's just
we
going to
all
sulk
have-
quietly to himself while he eats with y'all.
We all have regrets, big man. It'll be
Think of the debauchery.
Claire
He
coming
tells
in clutch.
Bergen quietly. He says, today was the first day in many, many moons I have reveled in bloodshed. I am not proud.
a
Think of all the
barbarian
people
that's
you
not proud
protected.
of rage.
He just shrugs.
Saved a lot of lives.
You did?
He eats a little, like, he was kind of picking at his food. He eats a little more when you say that.
Yeah, but he killed a lot of things too.
They were green. They didn't matter.
Asses,
They were
Yeah.
good.
red shirts.
Red shirts. Accurate.
I love it.
As you begin to finish up your meals, Marak comes over to all of you with another round of drinks. I hope that you have enjoyed your first taste of Nightstone hospitality, my lords. You have fought hard this day.
He calls me that.
I apologize. It will take some time. You peasant's life, you understand. You have fought hard this day, and have earned a night of revelry and rest. And if you would like, a few beds have been salvaged together in Nightstone Keep. You are welcome to bed there for the night if you wish. Normally, I would offer you a room, but the goblins have done quite a number on my establishment. When you awaken, I'm afraid we must proceed with some of the less interesting, more mundane aspects of your lordship. But if you need anything of any of us, you need but ask. Enjoy your meals. And unless you guys try to say anything to him, he begins to walk off.
This was who again? I'm very sorry.
That was Marak, the innkeeper. Also, seems to be one of the civil leaders. Like, you gathered that the people who got up on the bar top or on the crate tops, aside from 285, were sort of the council of elders of the town. While there is no formal council per se, they were the older, more respected surviving members of the city.
Goldburn wants to hand him his skin of moonshine and more or less just ask him if he can try to recreate that since he's been away from the tribe for, I imagine he doesn't have a source to get it again.
Marak takes like a sniff. This is white lightning, no? Woo! He picks up one of your beers and takes a swig before putting it back down. It will, we could work on it.
Consider it my first commandment as Lord.
Do you know, thou shalt
He
have,
warmed up to that one quickly, didn't he?
thou shalt have moonshine. I love it. Do you know what you use to create this? What's, barley, grain, corn? My German accent has failed me.
Oh god, Devin doesn't know enough about liquor.
I think moonshine is corn, but I could be wrong. I know whiskey is corn.
Well, you can make
about
homemade
just about
liquor.
anything.
Yeah, you can make homemade liquor out of a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
Pick a
So,
vegetable.
But what did
Well,
your people make it out of? Is what he's kind of
well,
asking.
I imagine they would probably use some kind of fruit. So
Okay.
it's probably like a peach moonshine or a peach brandy that's homemade or something similar. So whatever, some kind of fruit they could
Yeah.
get even easily.
After he puts it down, he's sort of with some of the some fruit from Goldenfield. I believe I could try to attempt something like this. It will take time, my lord, but I would be happy to do it for you. I can't believe that Goldbrain did that. So
I believe it.
I don't know what he would
It
do,
was
but
an awkward-
I guess he waves him away
Instead of doing that,
Wow,
he's kind of...
rude. Marak sort of dips his head, and unless anyone else tries to stop him, he begins to wander off. Sorry, go ahead.
I give him a couple of gold coins to help facilitate the rebuilding of the inn.
He
By couple, I mean 5.
you hold out your hand, and he curls your fingers back on it. It's like, no, my lords. While I appreciate it, there will not be much in the way of purchasing. Most everyone in the town will work for quite some time to help rebuild and restore, but we will discuss that in the morning. Please enjoy your meals. We want to welcome you with open arms and assure you that this is not a decision that you will come to regret.
Hashtag strongholds and followers.
He did tell you guys that the keep was yours for the night if you would like to use it.
Yep.
Or if you would like to do anything else before, now's the time to.
Oh, I'm going with Goldbrand.
I was like, Goldbrand's definitely not going to go in the keep. That's like the most anti-barbarian thing ever.
Yeah.
So
I'll not to Goldbrand knowingly and be like, we'll sleep next to a fire somewhere.
I appreciate you, friends. Even if you are in leagues with those gods Forsaken fairies, Uthgar's Forsaken fairies.
I whisper to Tally as they're leaving. I don't know the range on that spell of yours, but if y'all
It was 4 hours. Let's say even if we're about to have a long rest, I'll recast if we need to. Let's say that I maintain the psychic link with those two, if that's all right.
It's within a mile, isn't it?
What? Okay. If it's within a mile, that's good.
All I was gonna say was if you guys run into trouble, beam me up.
Yeah,
Tally.
For sure.
Yeah. All the Star Trek references today.
But also let me know out of game if Goldbrand's being too anti-group or whatever.
Too Goldbrandy?
Yeah.
I don't think it affected anything but flavor so far.
Yeah.
But I'm not the DM, so wow, nice nut shot.
Seriously.
Well, oh, you're welcome
Take
for
your
that.
pants
Dude
off.
with full-blown gray
Don't tempt me.
sweatpants. Hello.
God damn.
You see them dick lines, DM.
Is that a D20 in your pocket?
It is actually. I have many on hand just in case. Okay. Would you like to?
I'll go to the keep. I want to be up at dawn.
Okay. You, Davos, you in particular will notice that while this revelry is going on and many of the townspeople are, rightfully celebrating, they survived something very harrowing, and many of them
celebrate all night.
Not necessarily all night, but
Okay, never mind. Go ahead, never mind.
Into the early morning, you do notice Haral in the back, performing funeral rites, as an acolyte would, and there are a few people. You do spot Riker, the barbarian from the newly freed, who has been helping dig graves and is helping sort of lay these people to rest. More on the physical aspect of it than a spiritual aspect, but his presence is almost odd, given what you know about him.
I had a question. Can we pop the long rest button?
In just a moment.
Okay.
You're staying up late, sir, so you're not rested yet.
Well, I would say if they party through most of the night, I kind of think Goldbrand would get fucked up. In the sense of like, now I'm in the situation I really didn't want to be in, so I'm gonna fucking.
I mean, you're welcome to drink. They don't have a large quantity of alcohol. They have a cask of wine that they brought down from the keep. They have a couple of kegs that were not destroyed. They do all seem intent on drinking to forget what happened to them for the last 3 or 4 days.
Goldbrand will probably join that after being crowned a lord.
So I would say it's now into the early hours of the morning, 1, 2 o'clock.
Like a barbarian.
Laying in like a horse's hay trough, like
right.
Moonshine skin in hand.
Made a makeshift bed, not just like sprawled out, like you meant to sleep there.
I feel like he's big enough. He could just pick a stall that have a horse in it and just.
Yeah.
If you go to the stables,
up.
If you go to the stables, you do see that they have seemed to have found a couple of the horses that wandered off during the attack. They're not up to full numbers, but they have the 2 horses that were pulling the newly freed cart, as well as, I think, 2 other draft horses, and 2 or 3 other riding horses. You see there were stalls for 12, and one of them was killed in the attack. So it's not their full force, but they have begun rebuilding some of their, regaining some of their cattle. Anything else before you gentlemen go to bed? Goldbrand, I know you said you wanted to go out, but then you said you wanted to drink, so I don't know which direction we're headed.
Well, he's gonna wait. Like he wants to go spend a couple of days in the forest, while the rebuilding is happening. I assume that's something I would message you about over the week. I don't know if y'all have been reading my notes or not. He's gonna go binge, if that makes sense to the DM.
Mm-hmm.
He
You need to stop by the alchemist shop before you head out.
You do know.
Oh yeah, I really have to pee.
You can go pee real quick. There's a couple things we'll do, and then we'll go for the night. But you can go by the alchemist shop. It is early in the morning, so you don't know if anyone will necessarily be there. Devin, you're creepily close to your camera. Go pee. Does anyone else have anything they would like to do before we
before we go to sleep?
Yes. Yeah.
Definitely pray to Helm before I go to sleep.
Now I lay me down to sleep. Pray to Helm, my gauntlet to keep. If I die before I wake, bitch slap my murderer. For heaven's sake. There we go. There's your prayer.
I guess side story wise, just talking with Haral and
you could talk to Haral. You could approach him in the graveyard if you want.
Ask him if he needs any help with the funeral rites.
And
I've learned a few things.
You would recognize this isn't something that a paladin per se would do. It's definitely something that's more of a acolyte, cleric, priestess kind of thing. You see Akara, now that you've gone sort of around the temple, you see that Akara and Kava are helping them. They are not performing the rites, as they are not worshippers of Lathander, as most of the people in this town were. But they are helping prepare the bodies, draping the cloths over them, laying a few wildflowers and various things with them, as well as talking with the few men who are digging the graves and helping coordinate. You see that they've actually had to expand the graveyard to where there once was like a fence that was sort of broken in the attack. They have sort of expanded it northward. And then there's a smaller... Actually, I'll bump into the city so you guys can see. Loop-de-doop-de-doop.
I don't know if side story stuff is something you want to do outside of...
You could choose to talk to Haral, but he will talk to you and say that Lord, oh, I didn't expect that to play music. Lord Davos, it is good to see you. You have done Lathander proud this day. I know that you have many questions about your father's amulet, and I have many for you. But as you know, this is a lengthy rite that I am performing. I will not be free until at least dawn. If you would like to speak tomorrow, we could discuss this further. But if you have any questions otherwise, I'd be more than happy to answer them now.
I guess, yeah, just if he needed help. I think you said no. They got
you could choose to help them out, do similar to what Akara and Kava are doing, or even help with the graves themselves.
Yeah, I'll just help them out.
Okay. Anything else before Betty bye?
For me, no.
I think we're good.
Part of me thinks Goldbrand might try to help dig graves. Like after he gets fucked up, he'd be like, "Oh wait, people are working," and like
roll a Constitution save for me. Let's see.
That sounds like something really dumb Goldbrand would do.
How many drinks are you having? Like,
nah, Goldbrand's getting fucked up. He's not happy.
Roll 2 Constitution saves for me. Oh, the first one was enough. You try and you fall into one of the graves and pass out. You actually you actually are counterproductive to the point where they have to dig an additional grave. It's not even big enough for you. You're like sitting in it almost like a bathtub. Like you are Shrek'd.
Having seen Goldbrand sort of exhaust his supplies, or rather the town supplies, can I make a check to look for either fruit for the barkeep to begin distilling, or would I recognize any of these substances that Golbran regularly consumes?
You can make a nature check.
Huh?
Yeah.
Are you leaving the city to do this? Are you staying within the walls? What are you?
I'd be like looking out from a high tower, looking for
Okay.
these like flora or whatever they are.
Roll a nature and a perception check for me. You.
Wow.
Wow. Those are the two worst rolls I've ever seen you make. You do not see anything beyond the walls. It is dark. There is a bit of moonlight, but it is not sufficient enough to really make out details of what types of trees are in the forest. You do not recognize the particular substance that he was using. You've seen it in a dried, powdered form. You've seen it in an oil. You have not seen the raw plant itself, so you could not ascertain what its source
He's
is
technically
from.
also smelled the smokable form.
Yeah, but I would say his people probably don't use it in the same methods that you do, if they do at all. So you wouldn't recognize it per se.
Okay.
Anything else before Betty Bye?
Did I see Goldbrand
sleeping in a
going
grave
to the keep?
Wait, going to the keep?
Yeah, I guess.
Like on his way to bed,
wherever I'm sleeping. Like.
Oh, you were in the graveyard helping Haral when he came through and decided, oh, Goldbrand's will helps. I am good at the digging, and plunk.
I was gonna say that gives me inspiration for a song. It's called "Tripping Over Tombstones."
Shut the fuck up.
That's the new session title. Devil Driver.
Yeah.
You do see Riker, the sort of rival barbarian, who sort of shakes his head at Goldbrand and goes, lightweight, and sort of goes back to his digging. No, takes a swig of a beer he has brought out with him and goes back to digging.
Goldbrand's not awake to be offended.
Yeah. You also had a lot harder stuff than he's had. You've been drinking on shine and all sorts of shit. You also had like a third of a bottle of demon wine, excuse me, in the cavern. So, hey, y'all been working on your buzz.
Ask Riker about whatever he was asking, the herb or the fruit.
Riker, let me think for a second. He has a red tiger. If you ask about the fruit, he goes, I am not from these lands. My people come from up north. The fruit that grows on our trees is different from here. I could not tell you what you could look for in this area. But I know these humans. They tend to grow this stuff in bulk. If I had to wager, I would say that there is an orchard nearby. Perhaps not in this city, but within traveling distance. If you ask about the weed, well, what are you asking about specifically? Because I don't think
Where the weed at?
Man, we're the plug. I don't think you've seen it in a weed form.
He smoked a bong.
He wasn't awake for that.
Yeah. He didn't smoke. He lit a cincture.
What was that, Brandon?
I said I wasn't awake either. I was just thinking if Riker could give Tally more info on what he was trying to figure out.
I feel like they could ask about whatever he
Yeah.
bumped while
Yeah.
they were fighting.
Or would we recognize it as the same oil you sharpen your stone with?
Yeah.
I would say you would the oil that he sort of licked for his rage and the oil that he puts on his sword is the same. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Devin.
That was the original. I think I described him like snorting a line of ground.
Mm-hmm.
But originally, yeah, like in the character I'm spoofing, he licks the oil he uses on his sword.
Because he is edgelord, wooden edgelord.
Karsa Orlong, witness him.
I would say if you ask Riker about Goldbrand's substance abuse problems, Riker will. I have heard that the Blue Bears use some such thing. It is not something my people find useful. We have our own remedies, our own substances, but it is different from tribe to tribe. What he uses is probably weak, given his exceedingly low tolerance. He sort of shouts over to the grave.
Man, you Northerners sure got a heart full of ice, huh?
Not ice. The blood of the beast pumps through our veins. You have been slaves to these walls. I am merely repaying a debt. And by digging graves for your men, perhaps I can atone for being captured and leaving mine to rot by the roadside. And he goes back to his digging.
Keep talking like that, you'll be digging a grave for yourself.
He sort of shoots you a dirty look.
And I
Would
just
like to
point-
see you
Oh, yeah,
try,
I didn't
Bard.
say that.
So obviously Golbrand can't see this, but Devin wants to know if he has a spear yet.
He does not have a spear.
Okay. Interesting.
If Tally or Davos would like to make a perception check, you most certainly can.
I'll perceive.
Wow, two nat ones in a row.
I will.
Tally, he could have.
Talbot's in the grave with me.
Yeah.
Tally's like checking on Goldburn, like, hey, buddy, are we going to the woods or not, man? I thought we had a plan. You changed the plan. You're in a hole. I don't know what to do. 13. You would see that he does not have a spear on him, but you do see the antlers. And they're on his belt at the moment, but they're sort of formed almost like brass knuckles to be 3 long spikes on each hand. He has made them into a weapon that the Red Tiger tribe is known for using. Where Golbrand, as Goliaths, are much larger and tend to use bigger weapons, the Red Tiger tribe relies more on dexterity and almost more monkish rather than barbarian. These seem to be some type of alteration to unarmed strikes, but are no spear. No other visible weapon besides those 2, which are sort of tied at his belt. Any other questions, my dudes?
I think that's good.
Okay. You guys, those of you who choose to, I suppose, make your way up to the keep. You see that the long table that was pulled from the keep earlier still rests across the bridge to sort of connect the gap. And you come in to find 2 makeshift beds. One of them missing a leg, one of them almost on the floor entirely. You see a 3rd cot set up in the side, all fairly large, definitely beds made for royalty or lords and ladies. And while it is not exceedingly spacious for the number of you, it seems to be all that they could gather up in that limited time frame. You sort of get together that while you guys were away at the caverns, the people here were working on trying to fix the city up. They cleared out the buildings. They sort of rolled some of the stones in the courtyard further away, and have more or less just tried to clear the wreckage. But you rest your heads upon the beds and or the grave. I imagine that Kolkar is similarly not opposed to the keep, but just feels more comfortable outside, and may spend the night out on the lawn. I think he would check again for the star for Nightstone, trying to find it. And much to his surprise, he finds it. The star that had gone dark, that had foretold of the fall of Nightstone, is once more present in its place, as if it had never left. And with that, we'll go ahead and draw tonight's session to a close.
Woo!
Yeah.
Exquisite.
Hope you guys had a good time. I know this was a lot of jib jab for me. Had a lot of story shit to get through, but hope you had fun. We'll have
That's good exposition.
Yeah, we'll have some more fun next time. We'll probably, depending on what choices you make next session, we could either have a lot of combat or we could get right down to some story stuff. So we'll see.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Golbrand definitely wants to, even if he doesn't go out in the woods, he needs to know. He needs to do some stuff.
No, yeah, I figured. I've got some stuff written up. I kind of expected you to tonight, but it's fine. I'll save what I got.
He needs to do some stuffs.
Yeah,
Devin's thinking he might even go to the top of the keep, but we'll see.
That's a good spot, yeah.
What, jump
see.
off?
Well, he wants to hide what he's doing, but we'll see. I know this is
Are
session
we starting
5.
to see Goldbrand do like this?
I don't know if he's necessarily addicted, but he is dependent on the drug y'all are asking about. I think Joey wanted to do something for session 5, but
Yes.
since this is session 5, I will release like my quotes list after I take notes for this session. So,
Sweet.
Yeah, I do have one quick thing. Since this is session 5 and I am still a new DM and don't really know what I'm fucking doing, I would like to ask all of you guys for some feedback. If you guys, and I know that it's difficult to be critical is a good word for it when you're talking directly to somebody. So if you guys would like to send Devin any notes that you have, good, bad, or otherwise, I want to know what you guys are enjoying, what you would like to see more of, what, if something is missing that you have enjoyed from previous campaigns, what that is, and what you would like to see more of in the future. The next couple of sessions are sort of the last of the guided aspect of this adventure. Once we get past, I think, maybe 2 more sessions, it'll be very open world. So if you guys have something that you want to do, or something that you guys sort of, like if you say, hey, I miss fighting really weird creatures, or I miss, the political intrigue aspect, if I miss X, Y, or Z, if you shoot all that to Devin, he will pass it along to me. Or if it's the opposite.
Yeah, note, I'm not going to keep track of names. I'm going to send Joey everything I get and not append any names to it unless you tell me to.
And the
that
same
way
goes...
he just gets a list of things, not necessarily knowing who said what.
Yeah. And same with things that are going well or things that are not going well. Like, hey, Joey, you suck ass at accents. Quit trying. Hey, you talk too much. Or, hey, I really liked this special scene with so-and-so. Just give me little thoughts and shit.
Special scene with the gray sweatpants. You should keep those going.
That'll be in my OnlyFans account later tonight.
More pornographic shots to the DM.
That'll be my standard. There's actually, if you guys are watching your YouTube videos, in exactly 1 second throughout the entire video, there is full frontal nudity. So you're missing out.
Jesus.
I guess
having too much fun.
To find it, huh?
Lethal amounts of fun.
Good.
That's the only issue.
My goal is to kill you through kindness. I heard that's how you're supposed to do it. Hasn't worked yet. I'm trying. Kill them with fun.
Cold Car is officially out.
What will happen at the start of next session is Kolkar, having seen how the stars have shifted and how the shamans in his tribe were wrong, is going to go back and try to convince them that fate is not scripted. It is not written in stone. The stars can be changed, and that they need to open their eyes to this. And rather than taking this passive role of watching these things fall apart, take action to counteract that. Which...
That sounds like an army of centaurs in Endgame.
It's what it was supposed to be, but we'll see what it turns out to be. Okay, so I don't mind telling you this since he's probably not coming back. He was supposed to go and convince the 3 great tribes of the region of what I just basically described to you, that fate is not written in stone. We need to rise and make our own destiny. Let's get shit done, and convince each of the tribes to join him, and then you guys would get a centaur cavalry. Probably ain't gonna happen now. We'll see. But I will tell you guys,
the way this is going, we're gonna lose our.
Yeah, you kind of have conflicting stuff. I liked that aspect of it.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for the herd of giant turtles moving slowly.
Exactly.
You all will have by the end game during the bit, because as you guys got your first glimpse of like a war today. The end game is going to be a couple of parts. There will be like a boss fight in normal combat, and there will be a boss war. And you each will have at that point earned a battalion of your own. What that's made up of and what they're what makes them special is as to you unknown. But I have it all mapped out, even as far as when you guys achieve certain milestones that like, all right, you did this, you unlocked this. Some of you might get them sooner than others. I don't want it to be like, all right, this is the next to last session, 7 armies walk up and join you guys. It's going to be sort of, you are going to accrue a number of units and battalions throughout the next several months in game.
And you're just gonna like essentially automatically give them to us, or is that something we actually have to build up with the strongholds mechanic?
So a little of both. You do have the opportunity to try to recruit units, but as for the units that I was talking about just now, these will be things that are sort of rewarded to you.
Okay.
For you're basically persuading people in your past and backstories, like, hey, you should join our cause. You guys are going to do quite a bit of growth. You're going to have to grow the city eventually, but that's a subject for a later thing.
That's what I was going to ask. Nightstone's kind of like small
Correct.
to have 7 lords or 6 whatever.
It's going to grow. You guys, the start of the
Oh,
next
yeah.
session is going to
That's
break
like the
out.
point of having a key.
Yeah, the next session, sort of the Daphne, Sidiri, and Morak are going to talk to you about, now that you're lords, here's some of the things you can do. And some of it is going to be, some of it you won't be able to do until you actually repair Nightstone, which is going to take some time. But they have some things in mind for you in the interim. You guys can choose to disregard all that. You can say, you know what, I don't want to grow the city, whatever. There are pros and cons to doing that. There are also, you can choose to expand beyond your walls. You can settle in the areas around. You can choose to try to expand the city itself, which is a time-consuming but a possibility. So there's lots of cool stuff you guys
What
can
if
do.
we were to come across in our adventures a larger city and want to establish that, or is this
More often than not, those cities are going to already be occupied. So it's either run out a, overthrow a government of some sort. I will say there will be opportunities to capture, for lack of a better term, forts, small sort of strongholds where you might choose to keep a couple of battalions as, your influence and your power grows. But that's sort of more to the mid to late game. You may even have opportunities to establish outposts with some of your former places of residence. But we'll burn that bridge when we come to it.
BBD.
Are you gonna shame Goldbrand if he flirts with Daphne? Are you gonna shame me if Goldbrand flirts with Daphne?
No, you've already flirted with the Dragonborns. All things are out.
like
Goldbrand's big and muscular. It does itself.
You yeah, I was about to say you've already flirted with a couple of people, so it's not gonna surprise me. But we'll see how your charisma checks do there. What do you got, like a -2? That's pretty bad.
Absolutely. Goldbrand's whole tactic is I'm home like a horse. He wants to get some beds with me.
Oh my
That's
god! All right, roll for PP because right now Tally's got you beat by a bit.
Bergen's pretty close behind.
Right now,
Once I get that observant feat, it'll be better.
if we're just going off of charisma.
I will say, I'll roast him since he's not here. Valkyr does have the smallest PP.
Aw.
Poor dude. He's got a 0 in wisdom and didn't take perception as a thing. So he's got a whopping 10 passive perception. Now, if we're talking inches, you're all terrifying, but we're not gonna burn that bridge. Other than that, lots of fun stuff to come. Again, please shoot Devin a message, even if it's just like things are good, don't change it, or I don't like this, everything else is fine. Give me something, because again, I don't know how I'm doing here, so I'm like goods, bads, somewhere in between. So
I'm gonna do what my parents did to me, and that I always hated. How do you think you're doing?
That's
What do you think you need to?
You're A, you're a bastard. B, if you feel comfortable with it, you're also welcome to direct message me. Like, hey, I didn't get a point to this. I don't know if you have a goal for this, but it felt weird. Or hey, you talked about this once and it never came up again. Obviously, we're still in the early stages of it, but at any point, if you guys want to do that, even after session 5, if we get like to session 10, and you're like, I liked this early on, but it's kind of getting boring. Shoot Devin or me a message and just ask to pass it along.
I've received my first complaint. You smell.
Wow, smells so strong through the camera. That's incredible.
It's good to see you guys. I gotta bounce.
Oh, yeah.
For me.
Bye, Taliban. We love you.
Hope you all enjoyed
Bye,
tonight.
Taliban. Sorry.
I'll see y'all
Be
next
good.
week.
We love you.
Bye,
And
bye, bye, bye,
is it
bye.
Thursday yet? Is it Wednesday yet? I'm sorry. Critical Role has corrupted me. Later, y'all.
Smells from the slime on your shirt.
Oh,
Later,
gross.
guys.